Welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Chapter 21. Mr. Xian is going to cause trouble again. At the beginning, Huang Tian thought that he had traveled through the ancient world and was blessed with great luck. He is the son of the chosen one in the legend, and the heavenly general Lingbao recognized him as his master. But not long after, he was severely slapped in the face. This is the immortal sword recognizing its master. It's like the immortal sword is haunting me. For thousands of years, this great man has remained silent most of the time, without a single ripple. To the extent that many times, even Huang Tian subconsciously almost forgot the existence of this magical sword. But every once in a while, this old man has to make some noise. For example, today, while Huang Tian was still figuring things out, he continued to stir up trouble and make some noise. In order to attract more attention from the witch clan. This immortal sword master has revived again. Huang Tian is flying at this time. That's right, it's flying. His figure was like a stream of light, rapidly fleeing from the Wu clan's small tribe. At this moment, his face was pale and he was holding a magic sword tightly in one hand. No, that's the opposite. It should be this immortal sword master who is pulling him. The strong and terrifying gale was howling, making Huang Tian a little confused. Uncle, please stop flying. Stop now. If we continue to fly down, we will really rush into the battlefield of the three tribes. Looking at the brilliant and sharp immortal sword in his hand, Huang Tian felt really panicked. This Xian uncle, it seems that he is not cooling down fast enough. Now I'm pushing him deliberately. With his thin arms and legs, if he were really thrown into the tragic battlefield among the three tribes. Needless to say, the outcome was horrible. Any adult phoenix, unicorn, or dragon could swallow him in one gulp without even a crunching sound. But this old man with the fairy sword didn't care. The sound of the sword shook hundreds of thousands of miles in an instant. Damn it, we are really screwed now. Feeling the terrifying and tragic aura coming from the end of the sky, Huang Tian's face turned pale. He knew that he was really lucky today. This magic sword is really going to kill him. Plop. Just when Huang Tian was panicking and at a loss. Suddenly, he felt his whole body suddenly stagnate. Immediately, the whole person began to freely fall from a height of 1,000,000 feet. I'm going to kill you, immortal sword. Huang Tian's eyes widened when he noticed this shocking change, and he couldn't help but yelled. I've seen people being pranked, but I've never seen one done this way. Without any greeting, he gave up halfway through the flight. Fortunately, at the critical moment, Huang Tian finally came to his senses and found himself still millions of feet in the air. He quickly activated his spell. Huang Tian was able to steady his body only when he was less than 100,000 feet away from the earth. Roar! But before he could breathe a sigh of relief. In the distance, there was a terrifying figure that blocked out the sky and the sun, rushing towards him. The raging red flames swept in all directions, burning all tangible objects wherever they went. Seeing this, Huang Tian's eyes widened, and a look of shock appeared on his face. Because the one rushing towards him at this moment was a legendary phoenix. One of the three overlords in the ancient world, the Phoenix clan. This was not the seriously injured and dying phoenix he saw at the beginning. Instead, it was an extremely terrifying phoenix beast in its prime. Chi. But Huang Tian was soon awakened by the monstrous and ferocious aura. Hey, brother, we are one family. At this moment, Huang Tian wanted to roar to the sky and reveal his identity as a member of the phoenix lineage. But the phoenix in the distance that blocked out the sun and sky didn't pay any attention to him at all. Those fierce and ferocious eyes were fixed on the building-like creature on the ground. For some reason, it smelled a unique scent of blood from it. Although it is somewhat similar to itself, it makes it have a stronger urge to swallow it in one bite. Boom! Above the sky, it was red as fire, and the phoenix's true form covered the sky and the sun, sweeping down. This fierce power was too great. Under such a strong threat, Huang Tian wanted to run away. But how could he outrun a giant phoenix flying in the sky? Soon, the other party's huge bloody mouth was getting closer and closer to his sight. The blazing and burning fire waves attacked Huang Tian crazily, making him feel extremely sour. Late stage of Hongchen realm. This phoenix, damn, is more powerful than all the three tribes of divine beasts Huang Tian had encountered before. At this moment, he was standing alone on the earth. A ferocious mouth of a phoenix is rushing down. In such a dangerous situation, anyone who sees this scene would probably be terrified. Huang Tian was the same. At this moment, he was using all his magic power to try to resist. Unfortunately, the power gap between them is too big. He still needs more powerful strength. At this time, he looked at the magic sword in his hand. However, the opponent had already restrained his sword light, and no trace of peerless sword intent was revealed. Xianjian, I fucking jerk you off. Huang Tian couldn't help but start cursing in anger when he saw this scene. At this moment, under the huge threat of life and death, he couldn't do anything at all. Who is the super boss hidden behind this magic sword? Huang Tian only knew that he had been cheated by this broken thing again. Rumble. On the desolate mountain land, a bloody battle between humans and phoenixes, or it could be said that an alternative battle between the Phoenix clan, began. Huang Tian, with his weak body as an immortal phoenix, faced a terrifying phoenix in the late Hongchen realm. The two swords are like a tit-for-tat battle, there is no comparison at all. As soon as the fight started, Huang Tian was chased away. At this moment, he stepped on the Xing character seal, opened fire at full power, and almost turned into a human-shaped lightning, running madly towards the original direction of the small Wu tribe. At this moment, Huang Tian felt that the soles of his feet began to smoke again. Roar! The huge phoenix on the other side did not think about the ant-like fellow in its eyes. He was able to avoid my fatal attacks one after another, and his speed seems to be quite fast. In just a few blinks of an eye, he had slipped away tens of millions of miles. Isn't this guy also from the phoenix lineage like me? Why doesn't he use his wings to fly, but instead runs like crazy with his long legs? For a moment, this bizarre operation confused the extremely ferocious phoenix. It only took a split second for Phoenix to come back to his senses. The guy who is running away frantically right now is the prey that I have set my eyes on. The phoenix did not stop at that moment. It spread its wings, and a huge and blazing flame swept in all directions, and once again rushed towards the distant Huang Tian at a very fast speed. Today, the phoenix must devour this guy Huang Tian. There is such a strange phoenix that can only run but not fly left in this ancient world. It's really a disgrace to the Phoenix clan. Chapter 22 Advanced Immortal Art, Unparalleled. If Huang Tian knew what this phoenix was thinking at this moment, he would probably be speechless. What is a phoenix that can't fly and can only run? It's obviously that big phoenix, a country bumpkin, so ignorant. Don't you know what the Xing character formula of the 9 secrets of covering the sky means? It was originally a supreme divine art that was only created in the human world of Zhutian. After arriving in the prehistoric world, it was developed and expanded by Huang Tian. Under the nourishment of the vast and rich innate spiritual energy, not only Huang Tian himself experienced an unprecedented bloodline transformation and advancement. The same goes for the various magical arts he possesses. The same techniques and methods will display completely different powers in different worlds. The higher the level of the world, the power of the magic and supernatural powers will increase exponentially. This is like a creature using the immortal phoenix magic in the human world of the Shrouding Heaven universe and using the same magic in the fairyland of the perfect world. It is the same principle. The prehistoric world is known as one of the highest realms in the universe among billions of worlds in the heavens and the Ganges sand. It is far superior to the perfect world, and only the heaven in the Holy Ruins era, or even above the heaven, can be relatively close to it. So, to sum up, it is not that Huang Tian's fairy phoenix cannot fly. Instead, he used his 2 long legs to run faster and escape farther. To paraphrase a phrase, it's not that Huang Tian has no wings and cannot fly, but that running away is more cost-effective. Whoosh whoosh. In a flash, Huang Tian's Xing character spell was pushed to the extreme. At this moment, he felt that if he were placed in the human world of Shrouding the Sky in this state, he would probably be able to run out of a long river of time. But this was far from enough, because not far behind him, there was a vicious phoenix chasing him. Fuck, we are birds of the same species, why are we so anxious to hurt each other? What a silly phoenix. Huang Tian was running for his life while cursing. His original form is a fairy phoenix. If he is hunted down and eaten by the 3 tribes of dragons, the great overlord beast, the Qilin, he will be eaten. Huang Tian had nothing to say. Now he was being chased by a phoenix of the same species and was running away madly. What was going on? This stupid phoenix has the strength and energy to chase him madly, why doesn't it go find the Qilin and the dragon to continue fighting? Huang Tian didn't want to take the risk of fighting a life and death battle with this stupid phoenix for no reason and waste his energy. Whoosh whoosh. Although he was cursing in his heart, Huang Tian ran away at an extremely fast speed. The phoenix divine fire from the sky kept pouring down, but he dodged it all perfectly. At this time, the soles of his feet were really smoking. There are wisps of inexplicable light emerging. This is also a sign that the 9 secret immortal arts, the Xing character formula, has been cultivated to an extremely high level. It's almost time. We will be back to the tribe soon. Huang Tian's magic power had already been pushed to the limit, and the blood of the immortal phoenix was surging. At this moment, deep in his eyes, there was a full belief in survival. As long as you arrive at the small tribe, you can immediately call for help. Thousands of years of network management and emotional building. There is absolutely no doubt that Huang Tian, the Hongwang craftsman, has a great network of connections. Not to mention that there is only a stupid phoenix in the late Hongchen Xian realm behind it. Even if there are hundreds or thousands more, what's the harm? In front of his group of big brothers from the Wu clan, it was just a plate of meat. After seeing hope, Huang Tian ran hard. Those 2 long legs moved so fast. Whoosh, whoosh. The fierce gale howled, bringing up a sandstorm that filled the sky. Hoo-hoo. After tens of thousands of miles, the phoenix was really mad. He is a divine beast in the late stage of Hongchen Xian realm. Although they were not even cannon fodder on the front battlefield of the 3 ancient tribes. But in this vast and desolate mountain area, on an acre and 3 mu of land, he is also notorious. Over the past hundreds of thousands of years, no one knows how many ferocious beasts have died at his hands. But today it happened to meet such a strange fellow. It's obvious that he hasn't even reached the celestial immortal realm. But he can run so fast. What made Phoenix most angry was, this fellow didn't have any wings, he was just running wildly with his 2 long legs. But it has been unable to kill this damn fellow. Instead, I ate a belly full of smoke, dust, and gravel. Boom boom boom. The phoenix in a violent state is completely furious. The huge body of the mythical beast, as big as a mountain, blocked out the sky and the sun, and its wings fluttered violently. Endless scorching phoenix divine fire continued to rage. Wherever it went, all tangible things were melted away. The earth was melted into one torrent of magma after another. Boom. What made this irritable phoenix dumbfounded was, not only did his all-out crazy attack fail to produce any miraculous effect. Instead, it further distanced myself from that damn fellow. All 9 secrets are secret methods. At the very front, Huang Tian successfully triggered another supreme magic technique within his body. His powerful magic power and speed instantly exploded tenfold. Using the secret of Jia to assist the secret of Xing is truly unsolvable in the area of running away. Thousands of years of continuous exploration and research. Huang Tian has long been an expert in this field. Compared to that guy Zhutian Xiaoyao Tianzun, he is countless times stronger. Or the current 9 secret immortal arts. They have all been improved by Huang Tian and upgraded to several levels. It can be called a truly unparalleled magic technique. At this time, all the characters are secret and the character formula is added. Even when facing an existence whose cultivation level is 1 or 2 realms higher than his, Huang Tian was also able to retreat tactically at ease. Sonorous. Huang Tian was getting closer and closer to the Wu tribe. At this time, the calm and composed sword in his hand seemed to be somewhat dissatisfied with Huang Tian's method of living a lazy life. A cold sword sound suddenly rang out. Huang Tian, who was in a super god state and running away madly, suddenly felt that something was wrong. Why can't I run anymore? The speed is obviously extremely fast. But that silly phoenix that looks down on the Hongchen Xian realm. But the scenery before my eyes has not changed at all. After running for so long in love, I'm still standing still. Immortal sword, %, an asterisk. At this moment, Huang Tian couldn't hold back any longer. At this moment, the magic sword in his hand started to cause trouble again. The hazy green sword light flows. It actually covered the void within a radius of tens of thousands of miles. It's as if it's completely isolated from the outside world. What the hell, he is such a fool. He only targets his own people and kills them. But soon Huang Tian had no time to curse. Because the stupid phoenix finally caught up with him. Enemies are extremely jealous when they meet. No extra nonsense, just get started. The huge and incomparable phoenix's true body crushed down. At the very front there was a bloody mouth, sweeping with a foul stench and murderous aura. At this moment, Huang Tian was extremely depressed. At the peak of the earthly immortal realm, he faced the Phoenix, a divine beast in the late stage of the mysterious immortal realm. This damn immortal sword really thinks highly of him. Chapter 23. All the trump cards are revealed, the Taoist body and the Emperor sword are both revealed. But now Huang Tian has no choice. The space for escape was blocked, so he had no choice but to fight hard. Either he wins, or this Phoenix dies. Boom boom boom. So, in this vast space shrouded by sword light, one man and one Phoenix started a fierce fight. The battle scenes, needless to say. Huang Tian, the fairy Phoenix, was immediately at a disadvantage. He was suppressed and beaten by that terrifying and ferocious Phoenix. There is no way, the gap between our realms of cultivation is too great. Although he also has the blood of the immortal Phoenix. Huang Tian can only be regarded as a fairy Phoenix, cub, at best. Although his body of the immortal Phoenix, which was newly reborn from Nirvana, contained infinite potential, its upper limit had been greatly increased. However, it still takes a lot of time to accumulate magic power and increase cultivation. His opponent was already an adult Phoenix in its prime. Just a few breaths later, Huang Tian's powerful fairy Phoenix body was torn apart by a Phoenix claw. And he was also blown away by a terrifying force. At this time, Huang Tian had already transformed into a giant of 10,000 feet tall. The immortal Phoenix flames billowed around him, but he still couldn't reverse the declining situation. You stupid Phoenix, I am really angry this time. After spitting out a large mouthful of blood, Huang Tian stood up again. At this time, the magic of the word, J, in his body was running, and everything returned to normal in an instant. The immortal Phoenix Nirvana technique plus the Wushuang technique is the strongest therapeutic auxiliary combination. This is another life-saving trump card in Huang Tian's hand. He is just always cautious. It will never be used unless it is absolutely necessary. This vast and primitive world is too dangerous. Compared to when he was rising in the human world and universe, the danger level is much higher. Able to retreat tactically. Why are you still so stubborn and fighting to the death? But now, under the torment of that magic sword, Huang Tian had no way to escape and had no choice but to fight head-on. Rumble. Seeing the Phoenix tens of thousands of feet long coming again, Huang Tian glared and shouted. The originally 10,000 feet tall body suddenly expanded again. At this moment, looking from afar, it really looks like an ancient giant. There is no difference between them and those rough guys from the Wu clan. The loser does not lose the formation. His height and build are powerful and domineering enough, which can at least intimidate his opponents. Evil beast, prepare your death. After displaying a magical power similar to that of the law of heaven and earth, Huang Tian roared. Holding the magic sword in his hand, he rushed forward to kill. At the same time, his mind moved. A faint dark yellow aura flowed, and in the silent feast, a huge bronze tripod emerged and hung above his head. One man, one sword, and one tripod. Both offensive and defensive. Roar. The earth was shaking violently. This time Huang Tian took the initiative. At the beginning, the ferocious Phoenix was also frightened by Huang Tian's scene. But it soon came to its senses and rushed forward with murderous intent. Rumble. This was an alternative and brutal war. The divine blood splattered all over the sky, dyeing the earth red. Although most of the divine blood belongs to Huang Tian himself. But his vitality is so strong. It was torn apart dozens or hundreds of times by that terrifying Phoenix. Still able to jump around and be full of energy and vigor. Such terrifying vitality is really too strong. It also made his opponent, the mythical beast Phoenix, confused again. Is that weird fellow opposite really just a loser at the level of earthly immortal? Why does it get more frightened the more it fights? That guy is like an indestructible cockroach. Each time, it was completely torn to pieces, and even burned to ashes with the Phoenix divine fire. But the next moment, he was resurrected miraculously again. This is too unfair. Although the Phoenix clan has innate magical powers, they can be reborn again and again. But that can only be done under certain special conditions. Furthermore, once one practices the Nirvana method, one will inevitably fall into an extremely weak state. It will take a long time to recover slowly. But the strange creature in front of him was clearly beyond common sense. For at least tens of millions of years, this Phoenix in the Hongchen realm has never been encountered before. Roar. Stupid bird, take another 6 paths of samsara fist from me. At this moment, Huang Tian was really bloodthirsty. His own magic power surges out continuously. There are word secrets in the body, the word. Action, the word. Being, the holy fighting method, the immortal sky sword. He activated all the secret techniques and magical weapons at once. The more you fight, the braver you become, and the crazier you become. This is his state at the moment. A tremendous fist force erupted, and 6 hazy shadows of the ancient universe kept rotating. Huang Tian used all kinds of supreme magic arts effortlessly. In the human world and universe of Shrouding the Sky, there have been so many brilliant emperors and ancient kings throughout history. All of them turned into Huang Tian's foundation for cultivation in this ancient world. The true meaning of the realm of the supreme imperial secret art that they created. It was melted into one furnace by Huang Tian, constantly expanding its unparalleled potential in the supreme path and combat field. Huang Tian's extremely fierce outburst. This made the opponent Phoenix a little unconfident. After being hit by several samsara fists in a row and his back was hit by the hateful Xuanwang Wu clan's cauldron, he felt dizzy. But it's not over yet. Silently, on both sides of it, an ancient and unadorned immortal sword and an extremely sharp heavenly sword appeared. Immediately, swords and knives rang out, and endless murderous aura rushed straight into the sky. The phoenix roared in pain, because its pair of phoenix wings were injured. With each sword and each knife chopped down fiercely, even its phoenix body could not withstand it, and divine blood splattered everywhere. Damn you, I will tear you into pieces. The phoenix was completely enraged, and charged forward again with endless murderous intent. Huang Tian's didn't say anything at all. He held a fairy sword in one hand and a heavenly knife in the other, with the Wu clan's Xuanwang cauldron on his head. He started a life and death battle with this stupid phoenix. As a terrestrial immortal, he faced a phoenix, a divine beast in the late stage of the mysterious immortal realm. Fighting to this point, he had actually already reached his limit. At this moment, he was holding on with his last breath. Because Huang Tian knows very well, if he lets go of this anger, he'll be finished. That stupid phoenix on the opposite side will never let him go. As for the magic sword on his body, will it come to his rescue? Huang Tian didn't even think about it. He was able to have this life and death experience today, all thanks to this magical sword. Boom boom boom. On the vast land, the blood of the divine beasts was flowing, almost turning into rivers of blood. The fight was extremely brutal. Even the phoenix beast had all kinds of hideous wounds on its body increased after Huang Tian's desperate attack. On the other hand, Huang Tian's situation was even more horrible. The ancient giant's body had already been torn into pieces, and even one of his arms was torn off. At this time, the magic power in his body had already been exhausted. Only his own immortal phoenix blood was still boiling, providing him with powerful combat power. This is equivalent to burning the essence of one's own immortal phoenix bloodline. If he doesn't kill this stupid phoenix today and refine it completely, he will be at a huge loss. Thinking of this, Huang Tian's red eyes became more murderous. He transformed into a blood-red lightning and fought with the phoenix again at close range. For this purpose, he even used his own immortal phoenix blood to launch another set of more powerful life-saving killing moves. 4 blood-red imperial swords and a blurry chaos formation diagram emerged, spanning the sky. At the same time, wisps of fairy light flickered in the sky. The 3 Huang Tiandao bodies also emerged one by one. They stood in the center of the 4 emperors, sword formation, each of them filled with murderous intent. Chapter 24, Full Outbreak, Kill the Phoenix. In the era of the Zhutian mythology, he was the supreme divine soldier of Lingbao Tianzun, one of the 9 Tianzun. It was secretly collected by Huang Tian countless years ago. When I first came to the primitive world, Huang Tian had successfully killed 2 Hongchen realm Qilin and a divine beast dragon by this means. Today I am forced into a desperate situation. He had no choice but to bite the bullet, risk everything, and launch this super killing formation. The magic of the 3 pure ones, plus the spiritual treasures of the 4 emperors, swords, and a diagram of the chaos sword formation. The vast land suddenly changed color with wind and rain. An endless murderous aura enveloped the place. There were also terrifying roars that resounded through the sky. That is the roar of the Qilin and the dragon. The 3 divine beasts had been killed by Huang Tian earlier, and their huge ferocity and murderous aura were also absorbed by the Emperor's sword. Today, the Emperor's sword appeared again, revealing such a terrifying phenomenon. And compared to the 3 imperial swords at the beginning, this time there are 4 swords at the same time. Huh, what kind of weird formation is this? At this time, the mythical beast Phoenix also became a little timid and felt fearful. This weird creature in front of me is so weird. Although his cultivation level seems to be low, he has many methods and supernatural powers. After fighting for so long, even the Phoenix, a divine beast in the late Hongchen realm, is a little overwhelmed. At this moment, he was once again shrouded in this mysterious formation with a murderous aura. After hearing the familiar and terrifying roars of dragons and unicorns one after another, how could Phoenix dare to continue fighting? Thinking of this, it let out a long howl and was about to leave, dragging the injured body of the Phoenix. Unfortunately, Huang Tian didn't give it any chance at all. Are you kidding me? I was forced into such a tragic and desperate situation today. All kinds of powerful killer moves were revealed. You silly Phoenix, you still want to run. It's not that easy. Clang. Huang Tian dodged and his real body entered the Chaos Emperor formation, activating the entire terrifying killing formation. At the same time, his other 3 Taoist bodies each held a killing emperor sword and were located at the center of the formation. In an instant, the sound of swords shook the sky, countless scarlet murderous auras surged, and there was also blood raining. Ah! Phoenix's screams soon rang out. Trapped in the emperor sword killing formation, its enormous phoenix body is the best target. At this time, Huang Tian's face was pale and sweat kept dripping down his forehead. He was already in a weak state, and was still madly burning the immortal phoenix essence. He created 3 Taoist bodies and fully activated the Sword Emperor killing formation. This is really going to cost him his life. Clank, clank, clank. But now he had no way out. This stupid phoenix must be killed today. No matter who comes, no one can save it. Although he said this in his heart, he was still not confident. But Huang Tian's murderous intent reached an unprecedented level of intensity. A chaos formation diagram, 4 killing emperor swords, and 3 Taoist bodies. Under Huang Tian's desperate urging, a terrifying offensive like a violent storm was launched. In the Sword Emperor killing formation, blood rained down. The phoenix's painful cries continued to ring out. The blood of the phoenix splattered between heaven and earth. It also made the entire Sword Emperor killing formation even more scarlet. The more phoenix blood is absorbed, this killing formation will become more and more terrifying, and the murderous intent will surge. Sonorous. Huang Tian, who was bloodthirsty at the moment, didn't notice it. I don't know when it started. The magic sword in his hand was humming softly and reviving on its own. Ancient and mysterious sword patterns are emerging. Silently, he took the initiative to break free from Huang Tian's grasp. Floated to the center of the killing emperor sword formation. There was a terrifying murderous intent spreading there. Sonorous. The light of this immortal sword became brighter and brighter. It seems like it is awakening, and also like it is cheering. The killing formation of the heavenly master Lingbao of the universe set up by Huang Tian to cover the sky. Although it is completely different from the most terrifying killing formation in the legend of the ancient world, there is no comparison at all. But there is some sword intent contained in it. This magical sword has some special meaning. At this moment, it is frantically absorbing the surging sword intent from this killing sword formation. At the same time, the sword was also emitting light, with strands of light spreading out. He actually took the initiative to rush towards the chaos sword formation in the sky. It seems that he wants to see from behind the sword formation diagram. To sense certain marks and rhyme of the master behind the refining formation diagram. He didn't even know about this magical sword. Why am I so impatient and eager? But deep down, it felt that it was an indescribable great opportunity for its master. It seems like an opportunity to transcend this vast and supreme world. As time goes by, the vibration frequency of this immortal sword became higher and higher. On the originally plain and simple sword, there were some inexplicable blood-colored patterns. As these blood-colored patterns appeared more and more, they were about to cover the sword. Above the sky, the diagram of the chaos sword formation and the 4 killing swords were also shaking violently. They also seemed unable to withstand the exploration and absorption of some unknown power in the killing array. Sonorous. Finally, with the sound of a sword ringing, the immortal sword's brilliance faded away again and returned to silence. The original blood-colored veins on the sword body also disappeared completely. Too weak. The sword power is still far from enough. Faintly, there seemed to be an extremely subtle murmur coming from this magic sword. Of course Huang Tian couldn't hear it. At this moment, he was being trapped by this magic sword and was fighting with his life in a bloody battle. Finally, the earth shook violently, and an extremely huge phoenix body fell heavily to the ground, raising a large cloud of dust. All the killing arrays, imperial swords, Taoist bodies and other strange phenomena in the sky disappeared. At the same time, another figure was falling. Finally, successfully killed that stupid phoenix. Huang Tian was covered in blood. Before his consciousness became completely blurred, he used all his strength to utter these intermittent words. At this moment, there was a flash of light, and the magic sword returned to him again. A hazy green light spread, enveloping Huang Tian's body. At the same time, it is also helping him repair his injuries. Finally, there was a flash of sword light, and the fairy sword took Huang Tian away into the sky. The huge phoenix body below was also taken away. A few months later, in the small Wu tribe. Boom boom boom. On an extremely vast and dilapidated stone platform. Two powerful figures are fighting fiercely. The sound of fists hitting flesh was deep and fierce. It makes my scalp tingle just by listening to it. This is the daily operation of the witch clan. But at this moment, on the huge stone platform, there were two figures fighting. But not all of them are from the Wu clan. One of them is Huang Tian. Buzz. With a violent and terrible crash. The two figures crossed and separated. There were large amounts of crystal blood splattered in the void. Haha, Uncle Huang Tian. I win this time. As agreed, I will eat the meat of an entire beast. On the stone platform, a figure staggered backwards, while another burly and powerful figure stood proudly. At this moment, he widened his eyes like copper bells and spoke in a muffled voice. The sound was as loud as thunder and the voice was very loud. Don't worry, Uncle keeps his word. When roasting the beast's meat, you are definitely indispensable. On the stone platform, Huang Tian rubbed his chest and said unhappily. At the same time, he looked at the bloody wounds on his arms. He also sighed helplessly. The physical body of this member of the witch clan has really changed. It's fine if I can't defeat those wild and terrifying men from the Wu clan. Now he can't even defeat an underage tribal kid. Although the idiot opposite looked very anxious. His physique, body shape and strength have become extremely powerful. But Huang Tian still felt a little depressed. Chapter 25. The witch clan knows martial arts, and no one can stop them. Even if he has broken through to the middle stage of the celestial immortal realm. The strength has greatly increased, but it's still far from enough. After the bloody battle with Phoenix last time, Huang Tianzu was in a coma for decades before he woke up. Then he was surprised to find that he had made a breakthrough. From the peak realm of earthly immortals, he was successfully promoted to the realm of celestial immortals. Moreover, he reached the middle stage of the heavenly immortal realm in one breath. This level of improvement in Taoism and magic power is truly astonishing. What made Huang Tian even more excited was that his immortal phoenix bloodline had advanced once again without him noticing. The origin of his bloodline is pure and strong, several times stronger than before. He vaguely felt a familiar energy from his own blood. It turned out to be the stupid phoenix from before. I have been in a coma for decades and have done nothing. He had already completely refined and absorbed that stupid phoenix in the middle stage of the Xuanxian realm. This series of inexplicable changes also made Huang Tian very confused. Later, when he walked out of the stone house and saw the huge bronze tripod standing outside and still burning, Huang Tianzai finally understood what was going on. It turned out that it was the big brothers from the Wu clan who came to help. Completely stew that stupid phoenix. Then he extracted the essence of the phoenix bloodline and poured it into his own body. This is what allowed Huang Tian to have such an amazing breakthrough. The only thing that made Huang Tian regretful was that the calm and unpretentious immortal sword master was still hanging on his waist. From that day on, Huang Tian practiced even harder. He even took the initiative to seek out the brothers in the small Wu tribe to fight together. After a life and death battle with that stupid phoenix, Huang Tian also realized that his foundation was still too weak. Not only did he have to cultivate an earth-shatteringly powerful bloodline of the immortal phoenix, he also had to practice the system of the prehistoric immortal way. The physical body must also keep up. So that's how the scene at the beginning happened. It's just that the physical bodies of this ancient witch clan are too strong. Looking at the entire vast universe, it can be said that there is almost no one who can compete with them in terms of physical strength. For example, many other innate saints rely on various top-level magical powers and magic powers. When it comes to physical cultivation, the Wu clan is the leader. After all, the origin of their lineage is inherited from the great god Pengu during the chaotic period. When Huang Tian first proposed a head-on fight, the Wu clan's men were a little surprised. Then they all smiled and shook their heads, rejecting the former. Even in a small tribe like theirs, the cultivation levels of most of the witches are far above the celestial immortal realm. If we really let these rough guys go on the field, they might seriously injure Huang Tian if they are not careful. Huang Tian was very depressed about this. Helplessly, he had to settle for the next best thing and turn to the underage kids in the tribe. The dilapidated stone platform is simple and old, and is engraved with traces of time. You can vaguely see that there are still many blood-soaked spots. This is the place where the Wu clan has been practicing for a long time. Now, only Huang Tian and that idiot from the Wu clan were standing there. Hey, Uncle Huang Tian. Thank you for letting me win this time. The reason why I was able to win is because of your good teaching, Uncle. On the stone platform, the kid was of sturdy build, dozens of feet tall. His body is muscular and full of blood. He touched the back of his head and smiled sheepishly. Stop talking nonsense and get out of here. Huang Tian was annoyed and scolded with a smile. Rumble. Then, another round of war broke out on the Witch clan's stone platform. Huang Tian alone challenged the young generation of idiots in the Wu tribe. With the double blessing of the immortal phoenix nirvana technique and the peerless self-immortality technique, the thing he fears least is a protracted war. As time went by, another 100 years passed in a flash. Huang Tian's cultivation level did not improve any further. But his physical body gradually began to become witch-like. From the first generation of naughty kids in the small witch tribe to the current fights with this group of adult brothers. Huang Tian's physical strength was increasing rapidly at a rate visible to the naked eye. The physical body and the spiritual power complement each other, allowing his foundation to continue to strengthen. During this period, Huang Tian would intentionally or unintentionally teach the Witch clan some combat skills and secret techniques. Now things are out of control. These big men of the Wu clan didn't care at first and didn't want to learn at all. But later, when they saw Huang Tian use the sacred fighting method to perform all kinds of terrifying magical powers and magic weapons, and blast away a big man from the Wu clan who was in the early stage of the Xuanxian realm. These rough guys' eyes immediately lit up. As a result, an alternative, martial arts training, storm also broke out within the small Wu tribe. In the words of the chief of the small tribe, these seemingly fragile soft frames are actually quite practical. There is no harm in practicing for all the brothers in the Wu clan. In this alternative and strange cultivation atmosphere, the strength of those rough guys in the small Wu clan has improved by leaps and bounds. It is conceivable that when a witch man who is like an ancient giant no longer relies solely on brute force, he relies on pure physical talent. Instead, they will use all kinds of fancy fighting skills, and it will be a shocking scene when fighting with the enemy. Huang Tian was deeply touched by this. The opponents of the Wu clan, the various prehistoric and ferocious beasts on the vast land, felt it even more deeply. These barbarians from the Wu clan know martial arts, and no one can stop them. Originally, relying on their cultivation at the same level, their own innate magical powers and bloodlines as ferocious beasts, they were still able to barely fight against the group of rough men from the Witch clan. If I was luckier, I could have escaped from the tiger's mouth, but now that's not possible. In a battle between people at the same level, there is no suspense at all. A giant man from the Witch clan who is in the early stage of the Golden Immortal Realm can easily crush and beat up several prehistoric beasts in the late stage of the Golden Immortal Realm. All kinds of witchcraft secrets and fighting skills were put into practice, and the scene was really frightening to the ferocious beasts in the ancient world. In terms of strength and physique, they were no match for the barbarians from the Wu clan. In terms of fighting skills and body movements, they were even more far behind. Therefore, there was only one outcome. They were completely crushed in the end of the battle and became the rich spoils and meat of the small witch tribe. Thanks to Huang Tian's teachings, a customized and improved version of the Wu clan's secret physical skills was created. In the small Wu tribe, meat reserves have increased dramatically in the past 100 years, and the casualty rate when going out hunting has also dropped a lot. In just 100 years, the number of tens of thousands of witches in the small tribe continued to increase, and finally broke through 100,000, and the scale continued to expand. The big men in the Wu tribe were very happy about this, and they were also well aware that the Wu tribe was capable of such amazing changes. The biggest contributor is naturally Huang Tian. It can be said that all the Wu clan men in the small tribe are now extremely grateful to Huang Tian. Having tasted great benefits from it, they began to practice various secret methods and combat skills more diligently. Even some other small Wu tribes millions of miles away in this desolate mountain area were alarmed and rushed here to learn the so-called Wu tribes' fighting methods. So much so that in the later stages, even Huang Tian felt a bit overwhelmed. He felt like he was playing around and started to get out of control again. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 26: The Witch Tribe and the Mysterious Visitor. Damn it, brothers, please stop practicing so hard. If you keep going like this, all the wild beasts in the millions of miles away will be wiped out by you. Looking at the terrifying number of piled-up bodies of various ferocious beasts in the clan territory, Huang Tian's mouth twitched slightly. On a whim, he taught the Wu clan's men the improved version of the heaven-covering combat secret method. Now, these guys have gone completely crazy. They practiced hard all day long, and the next day, without saying a word, they picked up their giant wolf-tooth clubs and ran away deep into the wilderness. From then on, deep in the endless desolate mountains, the screams and roars of all kinds of ferocious beasts could be heard continuously. What's even more outrageous is that at this time, the small tribe where Huang Tian is located has also become a small tribe. Every day, a large number of giants from the Wu clan come rushing here without any hesitation, traveling millions or tens of millions of miles. They were also envious of the rumored novel and practical physical skills of the Witch clan. Huang Tian was really confused about this. If these rough guys from the Wu clan continue to practice like this, perhaps Huang Tian's name will really cause a big stir. Even his great name, Huang Tian, could be successfully heard by the ancestor witches of Buzhou Immortal Mountain. But now Huang Tian regrets it. After this Witch clan learned all kinds of new physical skills, their combat effectiveness soared dramatically. Perhaps for the terrifying beings at the Golden Immortal or even Deluo Golden Immortal level. The various types of witch skills that Huang Tian is currently teaching are nothing, they are just some tricks for playing house. But looking at the entire Wu clan, with its huge base of hundreds of millions of Wu clan monks, the overall improvement in combat power is somewhat terrifying. If the Witch clan as a whole becomes too powerful, what will happen to the Demon clan during the coming Witch Demon calamity? Invisibly, this involves the legendary cause and effect of the heaven and earth calamity. Whenever Huang Tian thought of this, he would scratch his scalp and have a severe headache. This matter has gotten too big. If it alarms those high-ranking officials in the prehistoric world, he, the instigator, will naturally be doomed. Unfortunately, Huang Tian doesn't have any good solution now and can only take it one step at a time. In the small Wu clan tribe, the enthusiasm for cultivation is burning. The originally dilapidated huge and vast stone platform has been destroyed countless times. With the repeated construction and reinforcement by the tribal men, the area of the Shite battlefield became larger and larger, and finally expanded tenfold. Boom boom boom. On the vast stone platform, Huang Tian was fighting fiercely. His opponent was a sturdy giant in the tribe, whose strength and cultivation had already reached the peak of Chinese Xian. It is only one step away from the legendary realm of Golden Immortal. He is extremely powerful and is considered one of the best in the entire Wu clan. This big brother would target a small shrimp like me and ask me to go on stage to fight. In other words, he would fight fairly and suppress his own cultivation level to the middle stage of the celestial immortal realm. Huang Tian was also helpless. With your body of a Wu clan member from the Chinese Xian realm, even if you stand there and let him hit you, I'm afraid he won't be able to hit you. But Huang Tian also didn't want to miss this great opportunity to fight against a giant from the Wu clan who was at the top of the Chinese Xian realm. It is also a great challenge and opportunity for him. Although there is no chance of winning, Huang Tian can take this opportunity to gain greater benefits. Rumble. On the stone platform, Huang Tian burst out with all his strength as soon as he came up. The power of the immortal phoenix blood in his body was vast. At the same time, an immortal heavenly sword emerged in his hand. At the same time, he stepped on the Xing character formula, transformed into a human-shaped lightning and pounced directly at the opponent. Facing a big boss of that level, Huang Tian dared not be careless at all. Fire of the immortal phoenix. While moving at a rapid speed, Huang Tian also used all his magic power, and a huge fire phoenix emerged from behind him. This is the secret magical power belonging to the phoenix lineage, which Huang Tian comprehended after completely refining that stupid phoenix. In addition to this, Huang Tian also practiced some other secret techniques inherited by the Phoenix clan. Puff! Unfortunately, when this ferocious fire phoenix swooped down and flew towards the giant of the witch clan with the force of thunder, it was quickly smashed to pieces by a huge hand that covered the sky and the sun. Haha, little brother Huang Tian. Your strength is not enough. Hurry up and use all your strength. Let me see how many treasures you have hidden on you. On the huge stone platform, a big man from the Wu clan who was in the Chinese Xian realm laughed loudly. His muffled and thunderous voice made Huang Tian's eardrums buzz. HMPH, big brother, don't get so cocky. Watch this. Huang Tian rolled his eyes and said unhappily. In a flash, he attacked again with extreme speed, while at the same time high in the sky. A huge and magnificent bronze tripod emerged, and at this moment, the aura of mysterious and yellow merit was flowing inside the mouth of the tripod, forcefully suppressing the giant man. This bronze tripod originally belonged to the Wu clan, but now it is completely owned by the Huang clan. Although the quality level is not high, it has long been in perfect harmony with Huang Tian. And its main feature is that it is strong and sturdy. Bang, bang, bang. For a while, there were constant roars on the stone platform and the battle was so fierce that many Wu clan monks couldn't help but gather around to watch. At this time, 3 mysterious visitors appeared in the small Wu tribe since unknown time. They are 2 men and 1 woman. The man had a sturdy build, wore a fur coat, had a rough face, and was even stronger than the other giant witches present. He was really scary. The woman was wearing a light yellow dress, with a graceful figure and a pretty face. This strange combination of beasts and beauties is indeed very unique and conspicuous in this small witch tribe. But what was strange was that when the Wu clan cultivator Shu Shi saw the 3 of them, instead of trying to stop them, he took the initiative and even retreated with an inexplicable awe. They also didn't know who these 3 mysterious visitors were. But he could clearly feel the invisible pressure and trembling coming from the deepest part of his blood. It even made them dare not approach easily. This small tribe is indeed unique. No wonder it has become so famous recently. One of the huge men looked around with his big copper bell eyes and said in a muffled voice. As he spoke, the big man from the Wu clan was quickly attracted by the fierce battle on the stone platform. Well, a creature from the Phoenix clan. If I'm not mistaken, that little fellow should be the target we are looking for. Haha, second brother, let's not just stand there, let's go over and take a look. I've missed this little guy for a long time. This is a good opportunity to see what's so special about him. The other big man next to him was also a little impatient at this time and urged. In response to this, the giant who spoke first nodded slightly, and the woman in the light yellow dress next to him also smiled softly. Soon, this special combination of 2 men and 1 woman arrived near the stone platform. At this time, on the battlefield, the battle between Huang Tian and the Wu clan man had reached a white-hot stage. Chapter 27. The 3 bosses watched the battle and were all moved. At the middle stage of the celestial immortal realm, he was fighting against a peak Chinese Xian cultivator. Moreover, the opponent is a legendary creature from the witch clan. Even if the other party suppressed his own cultivation level to the same level as Huang Tian. But in this battle, the outcome should not be a big suspense. On the stone platform, the battle was in full swing, and the 3 special visitors were staring at the battlefield with curiosity. Why is this little fellow's cultivation level still so low? This shouldn't be the case. As a phoenix creature, even if his bloodline is thin, he shouldn't be this weak, right? Soon, one of the big men frowned slightly and wondered. Haha, fourth brother, you really underestimate that little guy. In my opinion, he is quite arrogant. His current realm of cultivation is far from reflecting his true strength. The woman in the light yellow dress said with a smile on her delicate and beautiful face. At this moment, there was an inexplicable gleam in her beautiful eyes as she stared at the agile figure on the stone platform. What the sister said is right, old 4, you are usually too reckless and careless. If you pay a little more attention, you will understand. Another big man nodded. His eyes were also focused on the stone platform. Although for beings of their level, the battle on the stone platform was not even a child's play in their eyes. But they still looked interested and appreciated it. Did I really neglect it? The big man who spoke first touched his head and asked suspiciously. Then his eyes focused, and he began to look at it a little more carefully. After taking a look, I indeed discovered some clues. Second brother and sister, what you said is indeed true. I was just careless and didn't notice it. Rebirth and rebuilding, starting all over again, this little guy really has some courage and bravery. No wonder so many disturbances can happen in my small tribe. Speaking of this, the big man's mouth twitched, and he seemed quite proud. Looking at Huang Tian on the stone platform, there was a little more admiration in his big copper bell eyes. That little guy is also trying his best. At this time, the woman in the light yellow dress whispered with her eyes flashing slightly. Sure enough, the next moment, Huang Tian on the stone platform exploded. The blood of the immortal phoenix all around was boiling, fiery and violent. The extremely scorching phoenix divine fire spread out, melting the surrounding ground into magma. There was no way, his opponent at this moment was too strong. Just standing there without launching any fierce attack made Huang Tian feel exhausted. He knew that he couldn't keep wasting time like this, so he decisively used his ultimate move. As the sacred fighting technique was performed, he visualized numerous magical weapons from heaven and earth in his mind, condensed into a large bell, with a mighty aura and an inexplicably domineering Taoist charm. Then, the mother energy of all things in the world gushed out, extremely heavy, like a huge cauldron pressing down from the sky. The big bell, the big tripod, the magic sword, all kinds of magical weapons and Taoist bodies were displayed by him. In fact, Huang Tian had even more powerful magical weapons, such as the many innate treasures in this ancient world, but at the last moment, he felt an inexplicable sense of fear. Finally had to give up this crazy idea. The legendary innate treasures of the ancient times all have great origins, and the power of the treasures is so great that it can destroy the world and is beyond description. Considering Huang Tian's current status as a little Kara, if he dared to do this, he would be in big trouble. Just talking about the cause and effect backlash of this treasure in the dark is enough to make him drink a pot. Therefore, Huang Tian still honestly evolved the magic weapon field that he is most proficient in and familiar with. But even with these means alone, he still couldn't hide his decline. Under the counterattack of the witch clan's fierce and wild physical strength, Huang Tian's magical weapons and Taoist tools were shattered one after another. At this time, the area between his eyebrows was glowing, and a blazing fire of his soul was boiling. The first characters of the 9 secrets are the supreme immortal arts that focus on cultivating the primordial spirit. With Huang Tian's current powerful and mighty immortal phoenix spirit, the power of this technique would naturally be doubled. He can clearly capture all the offensive moves of his opponent, anticipate the enemy's moves, and then look for flaws at his own maximum speed. At the same time, he held the immortal sky sword tightly in his hand and the witch clan's spiritual bronze tripod above his head. Boom boom boom. The fierce battle was still going on, and the 3 mysterious visitors who were watching from a distance were also slightly moved. This little guy's fighting talent is so outstanding. It's really beyond my expectations. The giant from the Wu clan who was originally called the 4th brother was also a little surprised. At the beginning, he also looked down on Huang Tian's various fancy fighting skills. With his presence, if he were to engage in a major battle with the enemy, he would naturally be able to crush them all the way. Why is there any need to go through so much trouble and procrastination? In the eyes of beings like them, power is everything, and one power can break everything. But as time went on, the ruffian also discovered something unusual. This little guy has been fighting for so long, how come his fighting power is still so strong? It's even more vigorous than at the beginning. Moreover, this little guy has all kinds of magical powers and techniques at his disposal, which are endless, which even makes him a little surprised. 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist. Especially when Huang Tian used magical powers similar to the law of heaven and earth, his body continued to expand, and his own strength also skyrocketed at an astonishing speed. This kind of physical aura, as well as the unparalleled sense of power, is almost exactly the same as their witch clan. Although he is only at the lowly heavenly immortal realm, this little fellow's explosive power is too amazing. Under normal circumstances, he is 1 or 2 realms higher than him. In a life and death fight, I am afraid he may not be his opponent. It seems that we have come to the right place this time. The woman in the light yellow dress said softly with a strange light flashing in her beautiful eyes. For some reason, when the woman heard Huang Tian shout out the 6 Paths of Reincarnation Fist, her heart was shocked. Those few inexplicable words, like the true mantra of the great Tao, went straight into the depths of her soul, causing her emotions to fluctuate violently. That little fellow is very fast. If he continues to practice, he might have the chance to touch the threshold of the law of time in the future. It's incredible. Compared to the different feelings of the woman in the light yellow dress, the big man named second brother focused more on Huang Tian's speed. The 9 secret Xing characters' magical art is known to be the fastest art in the human universe. If one cultivates it to perfection, he can cross the river of time. Although the starting point is very low in the ancient world, this field of Taoism has endless potential to be tapped. Haha, second brother, sister, you are right. This little guy is really wonderful. I am becoming more and more interested in him now. I really hope he can come down right away and drink 3,000 cups of the Witch King's wine with us. And the delicious barbecue that they are famous for. The other big man opened his mouth wide and laughed loudly. When he mentioned the peerless fairy brew, the Witch King wine, he began to drool at the corners of his mouth. In this regard, the woman in the light yellow dress and the big man called second brother were also somewhat helpless. Well, the 3 of them have completely different focuses. Chapter 28, The Ancestral Witch Cooks, So Wild. On the stone platform, a thrilling battle took place. Huang Tian was defeated in the end. This result was not surprising and was also expected. With his current level of cultivation, he wants to head-on defeat a giant from the Wu clan who is at the peak of the Tai Xuanxian realm. It's just too difficult. In Huang Tian's estimation, he would have to at least reach the Xuanxian realm to have a chance. Of course, this battle is just for sparring, not a life-and-death fight. Huang Tian did not reveal all his cards like he did last time when he killed the phoenix. Haha, brother Huang Tian. Your strength is getting stronger and stronger. When will you teach me your holy fighting method? That secret technique, I feel it suits me very well. On the stone platform, the giant man from the Wu clan laughed loudly, looking very happy. After a big battle with Huang Tian, he felt that he had learned a lot of good things. Especially when seeing Huang Tian transformed into an ancient giant, wielding an ancient giant axe and slashing around. The Wu clan man's eyes lit up. As a Wu clan, they were very familiar with giant axes and giant sticks. Anyway, I have a natural liking for any weapon from the giant series. Especially the giant axe. It has long been deeply imprinted in the deepest part of their blood and is extremely fanatical. Let's talk about this later when we have a chance. Hearing this, Huang Tian's mouth twitched and he was speechless. Wow, these brothers from the Wu clan have learned so many martial arts secrets from him. Not satisfied with this, they are now eyeing his 9 secret magic. If even these were taught, what would happen? Moreover, the Wu clan focuses on cultivating the physical body and not the soul. Even if Huang Tian wanted to teach them, they wouldn't be able to learn. Haha, brother, good job. I was right about you. Come on, let's go have a few drinks and have a good chat. Just as Huang Tian was complaining in his heart, he walked down the stone platform. Suddenly, he felt a darkness above his head, and without knowing when, a giant figure blocked his way. My goodness, this giant is so huge. He was much more ferocious than the savages from the Wu clan that Huang Tian had seen before. At this moment, he stood in front of Huang Tian. Although there was no fierce aura around him. But the invisible aura and power still scared Huang Tian. Fuck, where did this big brother come from? Why have I never seen him before? And why does he feel so different that Huang Tian even feels an inexplicable shudder? Huang Tian was confused at this moment, and the terrifying giant's loud voice echoed in his ears. He only felt a buzzing in his ears, like thunder. Okay, old 4, look at how impulsive you are. Don't scare this little brother Huang Tian. At this moment, another terrifying mysterious giant came forward, and Huang Tian's vision in front of him became dim again. Same altitude, same aura. Huang Tian was really dumbfounded. No, who are these 2 big guys? Judging from his attire, he also belongs to the Witch clan. But this figure and invisible aura are a little too fierce. Under such close contact, Huang Tian felt that his immortal phoenix bloodline could not bear it. Haha, 2 brothers, stop making trouble. Don't you see that little brother Huang Tian is in such a bad mood? Then a soft and pleasant voice was heard, and the woman in the light yellow dress came forward. Compared with the other 2 giant rough men, she is undoubtedly more special and more eye-catching. As she spoke, she waved her jade hand gently, and Huang Tian felt much more comfortable instantly. The inexplicable feeling of oppression that had originally made him feel extremely depressed and almost suffocated disappeared in an instant. These 3 unknown visitors are incredible. Huang Tian was secretly shocked at this moment. He knew that within his small witch tribe, as expected, some big shots arrived. But what kind of powerful figures are these three in the Wu clan? The Golden Fairyland, the leaders of the legendary medium-sized or large tribes. To be even more exaggerated, are these the three legendary great witches? As for higher levels, he didn't dare to think about it for the time being. Haha, the three of you have come to visit my humble place. I am sorry for the poor hospitality. Please forgive me. Huang Tian's mind raced, and he did not dare to be negligent, so he quickly bowed and said. After saying that, he took the initiative to invite the three mysterious visitors into the stone hall in the tribe. This hall is also used exclusively for entertaining distinguished guests within the small tribe. As the martial spirit of the Huang Tian small tribe prevailed. Over the years, there have been countless people from various witch tribes who have come to visit this place. In the huge and vast stone hall, Huang Tian personally brought out more than a dozen large jars of witch king wine. There were also many ferocious beasts being roasted. In an instant, the extremely rich aroma of barbecue and the intoxicating fragrance of the peerless fairy wine filled the entire hall. Even the many giants and children of the witch clan in the outside world were drooling. But the strange thing is that today no one from a small tribe dared to break in at will. Haha, little brother Huang Tian. You are so nice. I won't be polite then. The barbecue and wine had just been served, and the giant man called Lao Si had already started to feast on them. Puff, puff, puff. He picked up a wild beast and took a few big bites of it. The huge body of the ferocious beast was shrinking rapidly at a speed visible to the naked eye. With a final whoosh, it was completely devoured, not even a bone was left. Gulu gulu. Then, in the hall, there was another sound of whales gulping down and drinking. A large jar of witch king wine was made in the blink of an eye. This, FC King Hell, could it be the reincarnation of a starving ghost? Why is it so fierce? Huang Tian felt his eyelids twitching when he saw this scene. From the moment they came into contact, he knew in his heart that these three mysterious visitors were extremely extraordinary. But I really didn't expect that even the other party's cooking scene would be so earth-shattering, so wild. This is the first time Huang Tian has encountered this in all these years. Compared with the man in front of him, the group of witch men in the small tribe in the past were really dwarfs compared to the big witches, not worth mentioning. Hee, little brother Huang Tian. I'm sorry. We three brothers and sisters have heard of your tribe's reputation for a long time, and we came here from other distant tribes. Faced with such magical and delicious barbecue and peerless wine, I really can't bear it. I hope you can forgive me. In the stone hall, the other two giants were eating and drinking voraciously like the whirlwind. Fortunately, the woman in the light yellow dress was relatively normal. She raised her glass towards Huang Tian and said apologetically. Miss, you are too kind. It's okay. It's rare that you two brothers are so kind and appreciate my cooking skills. You can eat and drink as much as you want, we have plenty to keep you full. With the beauty in front of him, Huang Tian also looked very proud. Are you serious? Ha ha ha, then I'm completely relieved. Inside the hall, before the woman in the light yellow dress responded, the wild giant called Lao Si started laughing loudly, looking extremely excited. Hearing is worse than meeting. This amazing barbecue tastes so good. And there is also the familiar and intoxicating witch king wine. These two things are simply the big man's favorite. The portion is large and filling, just to his liking. Huang Tian. This time it was Huang Tian's turn to feel a little autistic. He seemed to have said something wrong just now. Judging from the way these two wild giants are cooking, I really want to eat a lot and fill up my stomach. His small witch tribe was probably going to be completely destroyed from top to bottom. Chapter 29. Hu Tu, the Ancestral Witch. But the words have already been spoken and it's hard to take them back. No matter how painful and depressed he felt, Huang Tian had no choice but to grit his teeth and bear it. Haha, don't worry, little brother Huang Tian. My two brothers were just joking with you just now. The woman in the light yellow dress seemed to have noticed Huang Tian's predicament, and a smile appeared on her beautiful face as she explained. At the same time, she raised her glass again and apologized to Huang Tian. Hey, this sword. As she spoke, a look of surprise flashed across the beautiful eyes of the pale yellow woman. At this close contact, she finally discovered the magic sword hanging on Huang Tian's waist. What a being she is! With just a glance, one could sense the extraordinary nature of this sword. That is definitely not something that Huang Tian's level can possess. And the woman in the light yellow dress, from this magic sword. I also felt a special and slightly familiar breath. The owner of this magic sword seems to be from the legendary Holy Mountain. They seem to have some inexplicable relationship with their brothers and sisters. Sonorous. At this time, the immortal sword master, who had been calm and composed all the time and would not take responsibility for killing people, was also trembling slightly. This guy seemed to have a sense of urgency for the first time. The spirit within the magic sword also revived at this instant. The woman in the light yellow dress glanced at him. The spirit of this immortal sword was also extremely panicked. It never thought that in this small tribe of the witch clan, a super boss of this level has unexpectedly arrived. And there are not just one, but three. This weak and low-blooded little guy beside him. How could I have the ability to attract the attention of such a being? At this moment, Xian almost had the idea of escaping on his own. Fortunately, the spirit of the fairy sword breathed a sigh of relief. The woman in the light yellow dress. He just glanced at the magic sword and didn't pay any more attention to it. Gulu gulu. Inside the hall, two wild giants were still frantically gnawing on the barbecued meat of ferocious beasts and drinking the Witch King's fine wine voraciously. No one paid any attention to what had just happened. Or maybe they had already noticed the clues, but were too lazy to pay attention. As for Huang Tian, how could he discover the mystery here? Come on, little brother Huang Tian. After all, you are the owner of this place. Come on, brother, let me give you a toast. After making more than 10 jars of Witch King wine in succession, the wild giant called Lao Si burped. He quickly raised the big jar and shouted at Huang Tian. The loud voice made the whole hall buzz. You call this a cheers? Huang Tian's eyelids twitched at this. Looking at the posture of this big guy, are you sure he is not doing something stupid? He really doesn't want to drink this glass of wine. No, I just don't have the energy to drink it. Witch King wine, how overbearing and powerful. Even now, Huang Tian's cultivation level has greatly increased. But the maximum alcohol he can tolerate is only 20 drops. No matter how full you are, never drink more than half a cup. If this cup is made in its entirety, God knows what it will become. Old 4, you're right. Brother Huang Tian, you are so righteous. It's great. Let's toast to you together. You must not refuse. Otherwise, it would be like you were looking down on us. On the other side, the wild giant who was also frantically sweeping up the wine and barbecue also raised his head, his mouth full of barbecue, and said incoherently. This time he opened his mouth, wanting to decline politely, but when the words came to his lips, he couldn't say them. Well, the two giants on the opposite side have already finished speaking in advance. Not giving them face and looking down on them. If I really refuse it outright, I might end up making these two big guys unhappy. Maybe if I got slapped in the face, I would be so scared that I would die. Damn it, it's just a glass of Witch King wine. I am the master who brewed it myself, so I just drink it. How can I make a fuss? Huang Tian felt extremely conflicted, but finally he gritted his teeth, raised his head, and drank the wine in the glass. You can't be timid in front of others, especially in front of beautiful women. After drinking a glass of wine, Huang Tian's face instantly turned red. He only felt a surge of heat in his chest and abdomen. It was like an endless hellfire was erupting, and the temperature of the whole body was rising rapidly, comparable to a hot copper furnace. I'm coming. This deadly Witch King wine is too overbearing and powerful. After drinking one glass, Huang Tian had a strong reaction, with a mask of twisted pain on his face. On the other hand, the two giants on the opposite side had already vigorously cleaned up more than a dozen large jars, but nothing happened at all. Still eating and drinking like a voracious wolf. Comparing the two, the difference is obvious, one is like heaven and the other is like earth, the gap is so huge. At this moment, Huang Tian's mouth twisted, and he felt like crying but had no tears. The ones in front of us are real big guys. Damn it, why is my life so hard? It's fine to have such a mysterious, treacherous and deceitful Xian master around me. Now 3 more such wild and terrifying bosses have appeared. Is this just to make things difficult for myself? But now, he still had to hold on and not show that he was a coward. Otherwise, it would be really embarrassing. In the hall, the sounds of people gnawing meat and drinking wine were heard, and the noise was very loud, which made Huang Tian feel slightly relieved. At this time, he was desperately trying to mobilize his magic power and was struggling to suppress the backlash of the Witch King's wine. The temperature of his own body was frighteningly high. Billowing white mist continued to emerge from his forehead, accompanied by clusters of divine fire. At the same time, across the hall, a woman in a light yellow dress was secretly discussing Huang Tian with her two brothers. Two brothers, what do you think of this little brother Huang Tian? Well, very good, very much to our liking. Sister, this is a rare talent. Why don't we take this little brother back today? The calamity facing the three tribes is getting more and more severe. If little brother Huang Tian is afflicted by this, it will be a huge loss for our Wu tribe. The wild giant known as Lao Si responded in a muffled voice while gorging on barbecue and drinking wine. Today he had a great meal in this small tribe. There is no need to say much about Huang Tian's craftsmanship, it is absolutely top-notch. This craftsmanship alone completely won over the two giants, who were extremely fond of the former. Well, Sister Hu too, I think what the fourth one said is right. We should go to Buzhou Mountain to meet interesting people like brother Huang Tian. So that brother Huang and other brothers can get to know him better. How to? The wild giant called Lao actually called the woman in the light yellow dress, Hu Tu Mei Zi. Now the true identities of the three big bosses are about to be revealed. In the ancient Buzhou Mountain, there are the 12 legendary witch ancestors. It was not what Huang Tian expected at all. He might be a great wizard from other tribes. He never imagined that he had been thinking about it for a long time. The great witch ancestors that he had been waiting for had already arrived beside him silently. At this moment, he was sitting in the hall with me, drinking and chatting happily together. Chapter 30, Drunken Words, Earth-Shaking. Huang Tian probably never dreamed of such a situation. And he was forced to do something by these three ancient witches. After taking a swig, he felt like he was about to burn out. Powerful and domineering divine fire continued to emerge from above his head. The blood is burning and flowing like lava. Even though Huang Tian's body was of immortal phoenix bloodline, he couldn't bear it anymore. On the other side, the conversation between the ancestor witch Hu Tu and his two brothers continued. Brothers, your suggestions are quite good. But the key is whether little brother Huang Tian is willing to do so. I can ask about this in person later. The ancestor witch Hu Tu also responded absent-mindedly. I don't know why at the moment. All she could think of was the special magical power Huang Tian had used during the previous battle. 6 paths of Samsara fist. Behind him were 6 blurry and mysterious ancient cosmic wheels rotating. Although the offensive force is difficult to catch the attention of big shots like Zuwu. But some of the key words deeply touched Hu Tu's Taoist heart. It seems like there is something to be gained, but it is still difficult to grasp. That fleeting glimpse of the aura of the Tao at the very beginning. The more Hu Tu thought about it, the more she thought about it. The more confused she felt, the more chaotic and hazy her own path became, impossible to explore and difficult to feel. On top of the stone palace are the ancestor witch Zhutian and Zhurong. The two big guys are still cooking like crazy. Hu Tu had a serious expression on her face, and her mind was still constantly recalling the previous scene of the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. Finally, she couldn't help but shake her head slightly. The road to greatness is too difficult. Especially for the witch clan. Even though I had sensed some clues in advance. But after a while, he was still obstructed by some invisible force of rules. The Wu clan does not cultivate the spirit. It is difficult to feel the logic of the great way in this vast universe. Today, my two brothers and I were just curious. I couldn't help but come to this small tribe to take a look. But I didn't expect to get this. This little brother Huang Tian is really a wonderful person. My brothers and I have underestimated him. If I have the chance, I will have to ask him for more advice. There was a gleam in Hu Tu's beautiful eyes, and she said secretly in her heart. Originally, this time, she walked out of Penghu Temple. I was just a little curious about the brewer of the Witch King wine. It just so happened that I felt like moving around too much, so I thought about going out for a walk. As a result, on the way, he unexpectedly met his two brothers Zhujian and Zhu Rong. So they made a plan and came together to this small witch tribe. So the current scene happened. Boom. Just as the 3 ancestor witches were cooking and communicating secretly. A low muffled sound suddenly erupted in the stone hall. I am the Immortal Emperor. You little bastard, come out and die. You are such a coward. I'm going to slap you to death today. Huang Tian stood up suddenly and shouted. At this moment, the immortal phoenix divine fire was boiling all around him. The smell of alcohol was hot and strong. The old face was frighteningly red. Well, this guy Huang Tian is actually starting to act crazy after getting drunk. A glass of which king wine was drunk. I control my own life. Huang Tian's action actually scared the three big guys in the stone hall. They all came back to their senses and stared blankly at Huang Tian not far away. Second brother, what happened to this little brother Huang Tian? Who is this guy called Emperor that he mentioned? It seems that he has a deep hatred with little brother Huang Tian. Zhurong, the ancestor witch, swallowed a super large beast leg in his hand and said vaguely, I don't know either. Zhutian drank another large jar of witch king wine and shook his head. At this time, he, the second elder brother among the ancient witches, also realized it. This little brother Huang Tian is drunk. However, the words that the other party had said before were very strange. Emperor Zun. Although I don't know who that guy is. But you can probably tell it from the awesome name. This guy must be a very powerful being. And there is little brother Huang Tian. Calling himself the Immortal Emperor. Could this be his true identity in the past? What makes Zhutian scratch his scalp is. Even those witch-level masters couldn't figure it out no matter how hard they tried. When did such beings appear in the vast universe? Why he didn't know anything about it. The more I thought about it, the more confused Zhutian's eyes became. Unknowingly, he was also led astray by Huang Tian's drunken nonsense. Sister, have you ever heard of the Immortal Emperor, the Emperor? Zhutian, who couldn't figure it out, secretly asked who too. Second brother, even you don't know, how can I know? This little brother Huang Tian is probably not a simple person. The ancestor witch Hu Tu shook her head. Then she looked at her two brothers with some resentment. If they hadn't kept urging me to drink. Now this little brother Huang Tian wouldn't get drunk like this anymore. Mad, it's been so long. How come these three old guys, Zulong, Yuanfeng, and Shiqilan, haven't died yet? If they don't die, this Longhan calamity will never end. I am still waiting for the Taoist master to attain sainthood. In the Purple Sky Palace. Just when the three great ancestor witches were still confused about each other. Huang Tian started talking again. My goodness, as soon as these words came out. This immediately made the three big guys, Zhutian, Hu Tu and Zhu Rong, widen their eyes. Sonorous. At Huang Tian's waist, the magic sword that had been hanging calmly suddenly shook. As if he was shocked. What did they hear from little brother Huang Tian just now? The ancestral dragon, the original phoenix, and the first Qilin. These are the three most powerful overlords in the world today. His Taoist and magical powers are so terrifying that they are unimaginable. Even the current 12 ancestral witches admit that they are far inferior to them. But what did this little brother Huang Tian say? He seemed to be cursing the death of Zulong, Yuanfeng, and Shi Qilin, the three most powerful beings in the world. My goodness, if this word gets out, it will definitely cause a huge uproar. I'm afraid the three overlords will attack together. And what's coming up is the great catastrophe of the ancient dragon in Han. Listen to what brother Huang Tian has to say. This horrific Longhan catastrophe can only be ended by the death of the three most powerful beings, Zulong, Yuanfeng and Shiqilan. This statement is too scary. Looking at the vast ancient world, these three overlords are already the strongest. Who else in this world can kill them all? As for the mysterious Taoist ancestor mentioned by Huang Tian at the end. What is sacred? And there is also the way to attain sainthood. What the hell is Zishao Palace? What kind of state is this? The three ancient witches were also confused and had no idea what was going on. In the stone hall, Huang Tian's drunken ramblings did not continue. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Because the sky above the small witch tribe was already covered with thunderclouds and rumbling sounds. The sound is extremely scary. During the long years, there has never been a calamity of thunder and punishment in the ancient world. But today, it happened strangely in this small witch tribe. The thunder roared to the sky, as if it brought with it the endless wrath of God. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 31. The ancestral witch resisted the punishment from heaven, and the immortal sword was in a panic. It is said that drinking alcohol will cause trouble, and there is nothing wrong with this. Even if you are in the legendary primitive world. Once you get drunk, you never know when something weird might happen, or even a disaster might happen. There is a God above your head. This is not just a joke. For example, now Huang Tian is in trouble. His few words, lightly speaking, have revealed a lot of secrets. Therefore, they all attracted the legendary mysterious heavenly punishment of thunder. It was also this mysterious and terrifying thunder punishment that came. Just then he interrupted Huang Tian's next words. This guy really didn't care about his life before. It not only mentions the Hongchen catastrophe, but also the fate of the ancestral dragon, the original phoenix, and the first Qilin. He even made a suicidal prediction about the future development of the prehistoric world. The ancestor of Taoism attained enlightenment and became a saint. There are also sermons in Zishao Palace. Is it possible for a little Kara like him to say these things in public? Fortunately, a shocking thunderstorm came, and the shocking words that followed were completely interrupted. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. But this wave of heavenly punishment is enough to kill Huang Tian tens of millions of times. Rumble, rumble. The thunder rumbled and shook the sky with terrifying power. The destructive aura that wiped out all life had already completely covered millions of miles of barren mountain areas. Many ferocious beasts roared and were terrified. Inside the small Wu tribe, all the giant men looked extremely solemn as they raised their heads to the sky. This was the first time they encountered such a mysterious heavenly punishment of thunder. Everyone clenched the mace in their hands, somewhat at a loss. And the instigator of all this is Huang Tian. At this moment, he had already laid down on the stone table and fell into a deep sleep. Seeing this scene, the three ancient witches' mouths twitched. This little brother Huang Tian is indeed extraordinary. Faced with such a terrifying thunder punishment from heaven with great power. How could he sleep so calmly without being panicked at all? Really as steady as an old dog. Brother, what should we do now? Such a big commotion was made that even Zhu Rong, the wild cook, was shocked. A rare look of solemnity appeared on his rough old face. The thunder punishment from heaven is coming. This is no joke. Although their ancestor which has extremely strong bloodline talent, his background is also among the best in the prehistoric world. But under the cover of this vast divine power, he also appeared to be extremely cautious. Hey, look at what happened. At this time, Zhutian also had a headache. Now that the thunder punishment from heaven has come, as the ancestors of witches, they naturally cannot sit idly by. But it was in the Penghu temple on Mount Buzhou. Their eldest brother Di Zhong had warned them personally. The cause and effect of the Hongchen catastrophe in this world are too great. Don't provoke them easily. Otherwise, even the 12 ancient witches will suffer unpredictable disasters. And now, it seems that their eldest brother's words have come true. Zhu Rong and Hu Tu, the three ancestor witches. It's just the time it takes to eat a meal. Oh my goodness, a terrible and huge thunder punishment came upon them inexplicably. Hey, never mind. We are the ancestors of witches, the leaders of all witches. The tribe is in trouble now, so we can't just stand by and watch. Fourth brother, sister Hu Tu, let's first think of a way to repel this sky thunder punishment. Zhu Ju's face was gloomy. After thinking for a moment, he continued. Second brother, you're right. We, the brothers and sisters, are more or less responsible for what happened today. Let's get started without delay. Hu Tu's pretty face also looked solemn, and she nodded. Boom. At the same time, the terrifying lightning of heavenly punishment also struck down fiercely. The terrifying lightning flashed hundreds of thousands of feet long, tearing through the sky and sweeping over with boundless destructive aura. The target was very clear, and he rushed straight to Huang Tian in the stone hall of the tribe. Clang, clang, clang. At this time, the magic sword hanging on Huang Tian's waist was shaking even more violently. This is for this innate spiritual treasure. Today is also an unexpected disaster. He did nothing, yet he was struck by this mysterious and terrifying punishment from heaven. This big guy usually cheats people in various ways. But I never thought that I would be cheated again today. And the pit in front of me is quite big. If you are a little careless, you will really be trapped. At this time, the sword spirit in the immortal sword was also extremely depressed. Who did I offend? Fourth brother, sister Hu Tu, take action. The lightning of heavenly punishment descended, shaking the earth. Zhu Juin's face also changed and he roared. Rumble. When all the members of the small Wu tribe were in a panic. They saw three huge and burly figures rising into the sky. The figure of the ancestral witch appeared and continued to grow larger, standing between heaven and earth, confronting the lightning of heavenly punishment head-on. We are here to pay our respects to you, Master Zhuwu. In the small tribe, all the Wu clan monks were shocked, and they all paid homage with great piety and respect. The majesty that came from deep in their blood made them kneel to the ground unconsciously and shout in unison. And above the sky, the three great men, Zhujian, Zhurong and Hu Tu, manifested themselves as the ancient witches. They bathed in the endless sea of thunder and fought against the vast sky thunder. In the current primitive world, perhaps only they, the ancient witches, have the strongest physical bodies. Only then did he dare to soar into the sky, rush into the vast sea of heavenly punishment thunder, and fight it head-on. If it were any other great boss in the ancient times, even if they had supreme magical powers, they would probably be very fearful. The punishment from heaven implies the meaning of the way of heaven. There are countless cultivators in the ancient times. Who dares to be presumptuous in the face of the vast power of heaven? Only the 12 ancestral witches. They do not kneel to the sky or worship the saints, they only respect Penghu the Father. The Wu clan only cultivates their physical bodies and does not practice magical powers or Taoism, so they are fearless. Boom boom boom. Another terrifying lightning bolt of hundreds of thousands of strength was shattered head-on by the true body of the ancestor witch Zhujian. At this moment, his real body stood in the endless sea of thunder, looking at the slightly charred mark on his palm. Even my cultivation level of the late golden immortal Deluo was somewhat hurt. Isn't the strength of the inexplicable heavenly punishment this time a little too strong? At this time, Zhujian was also somewhat moved. A vast and terrifying thunderbolt of heavenly punishment was nothing to an ancient witch like him. Especially Zhujian, who is the most powerful existence among all the ancestor witches, second only to his eldest brother Dijong. But this time, his ancestor witch's physical body was somewhat injured in the initial confrontation. Although it was very minor, it was enough to face the horror of this thunder punishment. Even his physique as a top-level ancestor wizard was broken. If it were any other living being, if a thunderbolt struck it, it would have been struck to pieces without leaving any residue. Even an ordinary golden immortal at the peak level cannot withstand it. From this we can see that this was a thunder punishment from heaven. The determination to kill Huang Tian. This little Kara. Chapter 32 Penghu's Soul and Physical Bloodline. Rumble. Above the small Wu tribe, thunderclouds were roaring, shaking the earth. Zhujian, Zhurong and Hu Tu, the three ancient witches, took action together. In order to save the monks of his own Wu tribe. They all manifested their true forms of the ancestral witch, which were tens of millions of feet tall. That kind of power is too powerful. The boundless thunder punishment from heaven became more and more severe. It felt that its divine power was challenged. The three creatures in the endless sea of thunder are extremely powerful. He actually dared to use his physical body to resist the vast heavenly thunder. The ancestor of the witch lineage. Inherited from the bloodline of Penghu who created the world. Boom boom boom. God has always been extremely dislikeful to this group of ancient witches and creatures. The intensity of the thunder punishment that came down at this time was becoming more and more terrifying. Even a powerful wizard like Zhujian, the ancestor of time, changed color. Because at the end of the sky in the dark, he seemed to feel an indescribable terrifying majesty slowly reviving. That kind of aura was also what Zhujian had been living with for a long time. It's the first time I've encountered this, and it's so shocking. Even he didn't know what it was. On the other side, the two ancestor witches, Zhurong and Hu Tu, were still fighting in the sea of thunder. The three ancient witches were all engaged in their own battles. Originally it was only a destructive thunder punishment at the level of Deluo Jinxian. Because of the intervention of the three great witch ancestors. It also increased the intensity of the heavenly thunder punishment by several times. Even in the dark, a trace of the power of the supreme rules of heaven was revived. Sonorous. And at this moment, a cold sound of metal sword rang out. The peerless sword light flashed, tearing through the infinite lightning that also appeared. It's that immortal sword. It's actually involved too. Seeing this scene, the ancestor witch Hu Tu was also a little surprised. As for the origin of the sword, she naturally knew a thing or two. Behind him is also a top-level powerful person. Although I didn't know about this peerless magic sword. Why would he be willing to stay with a creature of low cultivation like Huang Tian? But when I think of the mysterious and amazing actions of the former, Hu Tu felt a little clear in her mind. Let's see who really noticed little brother Huang Tian. It's not just their witch clan. Earlier, other great masters also discovered its unique features. Clang! The immortal sword rings and the sword light bursts out. This is the first time it has fully recovered, although it is not in the hands of its owner at the moment. But the power it exerts is still terrifying. This magic sword is great. You'll actually help us at a time like this. Even Zhujian and Zhu Rong were a little surprised. The vast heavenly punishment is extremely terrifying. But according to the strength of their 3 ancestor witches, it's not that we don't have the ability to deal with it. However, with the addition of such a powerful magic sword, the 3 great ancestor witches themselves are no longer under that much pressure. Boom boom boom. Above the sky, vast lightning flashed and became more and more violent. The original intention of this destructive thunder punishment. I came here just to kill a humble and weak creature. But I never expected to be obstructed one after another. First, the 3 ancestor witches of Buzhou Mountain jumped out. Now there is another lineage of the sacred Kunlun Mountain. The legendary 3 pure ones of Kunlun. How could they get mixed up with the barbarians of the Wu clan? They all have special identities. One lineage was transformed from Pengu's primordial spirit. The other meridian was transformed from Pengu's essence and blood. One corresponds to the strongest physical strength. The other corresponds to the supreme spiritual power. No matter what, we must never let these 2 lineages come together. Boom boom boom. The heavens are furious, and the intensity of the destructive thunder punishment is still increasing. Although it is not the true will of heaven. It was just a revival of a little rule power, but it was also extremely terrifying. I really want to destroy all living beings at all costs. Even if it is the bloodline of the ancestor witch of Buzhou Immortal Mountain at this stage. Even though their cultivation has reached the late stage of Deluo Jinxian, it is still difficult to resist. Of course, this group of barbarians is one of the protagonists of the next catastrophe in the prehistoric world. They all carry great fortune. Of course it is impossible to actually kill them. But also teach them some painful lessons. There is also a companion spiritual treasure from Kunlun Mountain. Since it is from Kunlun. At this critical moment of the Longhan catastrophe, why would you run out alone? This sword should also be punished. Hoo. At the end of the sky, endless thunder and punishment surged. In the end, one after another, chaotic thunder dragons millions of feet long were condensed. God was furious and destroyed heaven and earth. I'm not kidding. Especially in this supreme and wild world. The supreme divine power will never be challenged by any living being. What the hell is going on with this thunder? Why is it getting more and more powerful? At this time, in the endless sea of thunder, the ancestor witch Zhurong was a little uneasy. His fiery red body of the ancestral witch was already covered with wounds. The power of the vast heavenly thunder is constantly increasing. Among the 3 great ancient witches, Zhurong's power is slightly inferior. The middle stage of Deluo Jinxian is still one step away from the late stage. Over time, he found it increasingly difficult to fight in the endless sea of thunder. On the other hand, the ancient witches Hutu and Zhu Juyin are slightly better. But their 2 top witch ancestors were also targeted by the thunder punishment from heaven. As for the other place in the Thunder Sea, the master of the magic sword is also having a hard time. It was struck by one terrifying thunder dragon after another, and flames were emitting and clanging sounds were heard continuously. At this moment, this immortal sword that loves to cheat people is really in tears. Damn it, it's really not being righteous. He jumped out to help the 3 ancient witches fight against the thunder punishment from heaven. Not for taking risks, just for that little bastard Huang Tian. This time it was badly cheated. Hanging on Huang Tian every day. His body had already been tainted with the rich aura of the living being Huang Tian. It just wanted to run away secretly. He was caught red-handed by the vast thunder punishment. The result was that endless destructive lightning came towards him. At this moment, the spirit of this immortal sword was so depressed that it wanted to vomit blood. Although it is the companion sword of one of the great masters in Kunlun Mountain. But it is not its owner after all. At the moment, it is not controlled by him personally. The power that can be exerted is very strong. But facing the current scale of heaven's thunder punishment, it is still a bit difficult to deal with. It only took a few moments. The old man was struck by the magic sword, and sparks and lightning flew everywhere, making crackling sounds. Even the entire sword blade was charred black. If it continues like this, its companion spirit sword will be completely destroyed. Sonorous. Bathed in endless lightning, the immortal sword vibrated violently, emitting bursts of wailing sounds. It seemed like it was venting its anger. It was like asking for help from the master of Kunlun Mountain, who was in the endless distance. No matter what, it had no way to escape for the time being and could only hold on. 3 ancient witches and a peerless magic sword from Kunlun. They were all fighting in the endless and terrifying sea of thunder, risking their lives. And as the main character, the instigator of this horrific divine punishment is Huang Tian. This guy was still in the stone hall, snoring loudly. Chapter 33. The prophecy came true, the overlords of the 3 tribes really fell. I have to say, Huang Tian is a really thick-skinned guy. Even outside, there was thunder and lightning, shaking the earth. It still doesn't affect his silky, sweet sleep. There were even traces of crystal saliva flowing from the corners of his mouth. Tisk tisk. And at this time, however, there were traces of inexplicable and mysterious chaotic light emerging from Huang Tian's body. If the former is still conscious, he will be surprised to find that this is the piece of broken stone in his body. It was this guy who forced himself to come to this primitive world. It was not until this moment that it revived. It was obvious that even this broken stone seemed to have a sense of urgency. There's nothing I can do, it's Huang Tian's fault. He is not careful with his mouth. In this vast world, he dares to tell any secret. Although he was drunk and acting crazy, it was not his intention. But the supreme heaven in the dark doesn't care about these. Anyone who leaks the secrets of heaven or challenges the might of heaven will be killed. Even the resurrection of just a wisp of the power of the rules of heaven is so terrifying. If there weren't the 3 great witch ancestors and that peerless magic sword supporting it. Just like Huang Tian's cultivation in the fairyland. I'm afraid I would have been struck to death thousands or even tens of thousands of times. In the hall, wisps of chaotic light flowed. All over Huang Tian's body, there was an endless, mysterious and inexplicable aura of Tao. It was as if he was covering up the secret for him and clearing the cause and effect. It seemed as if it was trying hard to wrap him up, as if it wanted to break through the air and leave. There's nothing we can do, it's because Huang Tian was drunk and talking nonsense. It not only revealed the trend of the later period of Hongchen calamity. What's even more terrible is that he actually mentioned the future Taoist patriarch. The matter of attaining holiness. How can we mention the affairs of saints casually? Moreover, this is not just an ordinary saint of heavenly Tao, but a super boss who will be in harmony with heavenly Tao in the future. Isn't it obvious that this is courting death? I'm afraid that Broken Stone is also a little anxious at this moment. Want to take Huang Tian away early. Go out and hide from the limelight for a while. Rumble. Just when the vast sky thunder was reaching its most intense and terrifying. Suddenly something strange happened. In that endlessly distant and unknown primitive land. 3 terrifying roars were heard one after another. The dragon roars, the phoenix howls, the unicorn roars. The 3 top overlords of the prehistoric world, their enormous bodies reflected on the prehistoric sky. At this time, they had already fought each other to the most brutal moment. First, the overlord, the Shi Qilin, had his body riddled with holes, completely shattered. The origin of the soul is also constantly collapsing and heading towards self-destruction. A super overlord at the peak of the quasi-saint realm has fallen. Its final roar shook the heavens and the earth, and endless blood rained down. Next up was Yuan Feng. This phoenix is the ancestor of the Phoenix clan and has a very great origin. There is no way out. The fight between the 3 overlords was so brutal that they were completely corroded by the endless energy of calamity. There is no rationality anymore. Only the boundless murderous aura swept across all directions. In a burst of brilliant and blazing fire, Yuan Feng's phoenix true body that was more than 1 billion feet tall was also destroyed. The quasi-saint realm soul was also burning fiercely. Eventually it completely vanished into thin air and disappeared completely. But it disappeared at the last moment. But it also dealt the proto-dragon the most fatal blow. The dragon's roar resounded throughout the universe, and then suddenly stopped. The boundless Tao fire is burning fiercely. That was the last of Yuan Feng's phoenix origin power erupting completely. The already seriously injured and dying Zulong had no way to resist at all. The ancestral dragon's true body, which was over 1 billion feet long, also began to break and turned into ashes. Oh, I hate it. In the last earth-shattering roar, the last of the 3 clan overlords also completely disappeared. As for whether these 3 great bosses really fell, both their bodies and souls were destroyed. No one can know. But looking at the current situation, all the creatures in the ancient world suddenly realized it. This vast and desolate land is about to undergo a great change. Boom! In a remote corner in the far north of the ancient world. Above the small Wu tribe. The vast and terrifying thunder punishment from heaven also suddenly stopped. As if under some strong influence. Immediately, under the astonished gazes of the three great ancestor witches, Zhujian, Hutu, and Zhu Rong. The boundless and endless world-destroying lightning suddenly dissipated like a tide. In the blink of an eye, it disappeared. What the hell is going on? Zhu Rong also widened his eyes at this time, very confused. It was the level of massive thunder punishment just now. Even he felt quite uncomfortable, and the ancestor witch's body was covered with scars. Although he didn't die, it was enough for him to suffer. The punishment from heaven has passed, and this turmoil should also end. Hey, that's not right. How come little brother Huang Tian in the stone hall is gone too? At this time, the ancestor witch Hutu's pretty face changed slightly and she exclaimed. Because in her perception, Huang Tian's aura had already disappeared without a trace. That's not good. Could it be that little brother Huang Tian was struck to death by the aftermath of the lightning? The ancestor witch Zhurong seemed to have thought of something, and his rough face suddenly became ugly. No, I cannot. There are three of us, fighting against that terrible thunder punishment with all our strength. Brother Huang Tian will not have any accidents. I think he must have hidden himself. Hutu said somewhat uncertainly. Okay, old four, sister Hutu. Let's put aside the matter regarding little brother Huang Tian for now. I think you have also felt some of the shocking phenomena in the ancient world. At this moment, Zhu Juyin spoke. He is the second most powerful among all the ancient witches and a terrifying existence second only to his eldest brother Dijong. His face also looked solemn. After taking a deep breath, he continued, the ancestral dragon, the primordial phoenix, and the first Qilin, if nothing unexpected happened, would have already died. Buzz. After hearing this, Hutu and Zhu Rong were also somewhat moved. Those three are the three most powerful beings in the world right now. His cultivation of Taoism has already reached an incredible level. Even though the witch ancestors have extraordinary talents and bloodlines, and are extremely conceited, they also know the gap between them and the three prehistoric overlords at this stage. How could such powerful beings perish completely? Suddenly, Hutu's face turned pale with shock. She looked up and stared at Zhu Juyin, the ancestor of time. Brother, if that's the case, then what Huang Tian said earlier really came true. After these words were spoken, even Zhu Rong, who was a little thick-skinned, suddenly reacted. Yes, this little brother Huang Tian is really amazing. His words have come true. It was actually just as he said, the three great overlords of the ancient times, Zulong, Yuanfeng and Shi Qilin, are now dead. Old four, sister Hutu, now is not the time for us to discuss this. The most important thing right now is that we must return to Buzhou Immortal Mountain as soon as possible and reunite with Big Brother and the others. Zhu Juyin said with an extremely solemn expression. Upon hearing this, Hutu and Zhu Rong both looked solemn and nodded. They also understood that the death of the three most powerful overlords would cause terrible waves in this ancient world. The Wu clan should have made preparations long ago. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Under the devout worship of the witch men from the small tribe below, the figures of the three great witch ancestors disappeared at a rapid speed. At the end of the sky, Hutu's figure was about to disappear. She turned her beautiful eyes back to the direction of the small tribe's stone hall and murmured. I believe you won't die so easily. In the future, we will definitely meet again. Chapter 34 Return to the Heaven Shading Land, the human emperor passes away. Covering the universe of the human world. Endless chaotic energy surged, and a figure sat cross-legged in it. In front of him was a vast expanse of land. I'm back here again. Huang Tian had a complicated expression and murmured softly. Originally, returning to the human world of Zhutian was a very happy place. After all, this place is his home world. But at the moment, Huang Tian just couldn't be happy. Because he had some unpleasant memories in his mind. What did I do in this ancient world? Just having a meal with others. This will bring down the legendary thunderbolt from heaven that will strike you dead. You dare to believe this? That was an earth-shattering scene. Until now I recall it. Huang Tiandu was still somewhat frightened and felt cold all over. No wonder even the broken stone in my body couldn't stand it. He ran away in a hurry. Hey, drinking will cause trouble. After a while, Huang Tian shook his head and sighed. I don't know how the brothers of the Wu clan are doing now. And the 3 great witches who drank and ate meat with me, I hope they are all right." After a long time, Huang Tian took a deep breath and suppressed all the chaotic thoughts in his mind. His eyes became bright again and he stared ahead. Covering the universe of the human world. The place where I rose to prominence and was born. After experiencing the trials and tribulations of the great world. He is back again. Compared to the initial emperor realm. Today's Huang Tian's foundation has undoubtedly been improved a lot again. He felt that he had already stepped into the realm of immortality. The immortal phoenix blood in the body was boiling, and the immortal substances were extremely rich. It seems that with just a thought, one can easily kill billions of lives and melt the human universe. But also, Huang Tian's way back was blocked. The human world and the universe of Shrouding the Sky also sensed his danger. Subconscious self-protection. The laws of the universe in the human world have isolated him, an immortal being, from the human world. This also made Huang Tian very depressed. Now he is in a situation where he can't return home. It seems that we have no choice but to resort to the old method. Huang Tian's eyes flickered as he kept calculating in his mind. Finally he came to his senses. Sonorous. At this moment, a shocking tremor came from his body. The peerless sword intent spread out. Countless chaotic areas nearby were easily cut apart. This sword is not aimed at the human universe. Instead, he slashed towards himself. Since I'm too strong, the human world and the universe are rejecting it. So Huang Tian simply let himself become weak. Of course, this does not mean completely abandoning all of one's cultivation as in the past. It is a special method of self-sealing. Use the peerless heavenly sword to suppress his own primordial phoenix bloodline in the primordial system's Taoist fruit. Only the original pure Tao fruit of the system of covering the sky with the body as the seed is retained. Experienced the first journey in the prehistoric times. It also gave Huang Tian a clearer understanding and perception of the future path. The ancient system of cultivating immortals stands in the highest realm, extremely powerful and unparalleled. But it was ultimately passed down by the lineage of Taoist ancestor Hongchen. Even after practicing to the end, one will still be suppressed by the mysterious laws of heaven. It is extremely difficult to achieve the status of Hunyuan de Luo Jingxian. Not to mention, the legendary god Pangu used his strength to prove his Taoism. After the creation of the ancient world, the way of heaven was supreme. If you want to emulate the legendary god Pangu and walk again to prove the Tao with force, it will be extremely dangerous and there will be no chance of survival. If Huang Tian wants to transcend, he must find another way. And Zhutian's method of using his body as a seed was his breakthrough. This method was created by Emperor Huang Tian in the chaotic ancient era. They also have endless potential and can constantly break through their own limits. It can also integrate the advantages, essence and mysteries of other avenue systems. At the end of your practice, you can also build on this foundation and embark on a new path of self-cultivation. Now Huang Tian is practicing the method of covering the sky with his body as the seed, and the system of cultivation of immortals in the prehistoric times. His foundation in Taoism is much higher than that of the creatures in the two worlds. Buzz. In the endless chaos, the level of the Huangtian immortal phoenix bloodline is still weakening. Return to the original level of the human universe. The extremely rich immortal substance in his body was also dissipating. All the laws and order forces of the ancient world were suppressed by the heavenly sword. Until a long time later, Huang Tian has completely transformed back into the state of the Immortal Emperor. The appearance of the 5th generation of the Heavenly Emperor realm. In his eyes, 5-colored fairy light flickered. The blood of the immortal phoenix is still vast and powerful. Swipe. A 5-colored divine light flashed. His figure disappeared in an instant. This time, the human world and universe of Zhutian finally did not stop or reject him. Big Dipper. It was majestic and the ancient stars were slowly turning. This is a supreme treasure land, containing the legendary opportunity to become an immortal. It is also the place where many ancient emperors and great kings throughout history have gathered. Therefore, it can also be called the Emperor Burial Star. This majestic ancient star existed more than 100,000 years ago. Ever since the failure of the battle with the old Saint Emperor and his transformation into a war immortal, he passed away at the end of the ancient times. The laws of heaven and earth have changed drastically. All living beings have also ushered in another great era, which can be called the Ancient Era. When the royal families of the ancient times gradually lay dormant and the supreme beings in the forbidden areas of life fell asleep. In the endless sea of stars, countless peerless geniuses also emerged. Each of them is extremely talented and powerful. They all embarked on the legendary path to becoming the great emperor, launching round after round of fierce competition. And in these long and ancient years, the human race finally began to show its potential. Following the human Emperor Tian and the Holy Emperor Sun in the ancient times, the human race finally gave birth to another ancient supreme figure. In order to distinguish it from the ancient emperors of the ancient times, the supreme name is hereby called the Great Emperor. So far, more than 100,000 years have passed. More than one human emperor appeared. The human race finally rose up in this vast land and became another super race after the ancient races. And today, the ancient star of Beidou, Western Desert. Instead, it was a scene of thousands of Buddhas wailing and all living beings weeping. Above the vast sky, countless blood clouds gathered, accompanied by shocking lightning. The heaven and earth felt it and also manifested countless terrifying visions. The legendary Amitabha Buddha has passed away. Endless and brilliant Buddha light illuminates the sky and the earth, and the aura of the ancient emperor is pervasive. This is a rare sight that is unseen in the ages. The legendary Amitabha Buddha is a man of extraordinary talent and divine appearance. He created his own supreme Buddhist method, which influenced billions of lives in the world. Later he used this to prove his truth and become emperor. He also achieved the status of the first great emperor in Buddhism, which was extremely glorious. In the period when Amitabha the Great existed, the most desolate and dilapidated western desert of the ancient Beidou star has also undergone earth-shaking changes. The sacred and brilliant light of Buddha nature spreads across the boundless and vast western desert. One ancient Buddhist temple after another sprang up from the ground. All living beings in the western desert have obtained unprecedented opportunities and have embarked on the path of Buddhism. It can be said that the prosperity of the western desert today were all created by Emperor Amitabha. Now this supreme Buddhist emperor has passed away. The entire ancient Big Dipper star was shaking. Chapter 35. The real body arrives in the western desert, and the demon-subduing pestle is anxious. Eastern wasteland and northern territory. Immersed in several life-forbidden zones for a long time. Today, there is also a resurgence of terror. One after another, cold eyes emerged from the deepest part of the restricted area. Through the countless chaotic mists in the forbidden area, they all look towards the Beidou Western Desert. There is a huge and boundless golden body of Buddha that is dissipating and turning into the world. A great Buddhist emperor of the time passed away. But at this moment in the life-forbidden zone, no ancient supreme being dared to take action easily. The reason is very simple: they are very wary of the Buddhist emperor Amitabha. Even in some earlier years, the ancient supreme beings in the forbidden area had suffered great losses at his hands. Amitabha the Great, this is a very remarkable person. This great emperor has always been mysterious and unfathomable. He is not here for the emperor burial star. He came from the depths of the universe. I don't believe he will fall so easily. In the Taichu ancient mine, an ancient supreme voice was heard. This is the supreme communication between the ancient supreme beings, which is naturally difficult for ordinary people to perceive. That's right. This great Buddhist emperor is unparalleled in Buddhist teachings. He has also studied in depth the way of reincarnation left by the Hades emperor. In this realm, you have already gone very deep. How could such a great emperor end up in such a sad way? In the sea of Samsara, another ancient supreme being also spoke. This great emperor Amitabha is really too mysterious. Even though he had survived for so long, the supreme beings in the several life-forbidden zones were still unable to find out how deep he was. Today, the former passed away in his own Buddhist temple. Although all the supreme beings were extremely excited, they all wanted to plunder the body and blood of Amitabha the great emperor. But one dare not act rashly, as the waters of Buddhism are very deep. God knows what terrible tricks the great Buddha Amitabha has left behind in secret. In addition, there is a supreme Buddhist imperial weapon, the demon-subduing pestle, which is stationed in the Amitabha Buddha's temple in the western desert. The former can be said to have absolute advantages in terms of time, location and other aspects. In contrast, the ancient supreme beings were all in poor condition. Especially after the earth-shattering, bloody battle, at the end of the ancient times. The supreme beings in the major life-forbidden zones have a very difficult life. At the moment, no one dares to show up and break into the Taoist temple of the Western Desert Emperor. Damn you, Tianxi Supreme, and Undying. If it weren't for these two bastards, our restricted area wouldn't be in such a state of desolation and helplessness. A terrifying and supreme roar also came from the Immortal Mountain. Upon hearing this, all the ancient supreme beings remained silent. They seemed to recall that extremely dark and unbearable past. Soon all the major life-forbidden zones fell into silence again. The fall of Amitabha, the great emperor of the Western Desert, continues. Endless Buddha's light drizzles down on every inch of the Western Desert, filling it with a divine and sacred peaceful energy. It was a great gift to billions of lives in the Western Desert. All living beings knelt here, calling out the name of Amitabha Buddha sadly. A certain place in Dongwang. The great emperor Amitabha has fallen. Huang Tian stood on top of a mountain, gazing into the distance at Beta West Desert. He was also speechless at this time. What the hell, I just returned to the human world of Zhutian. Is this Amitabha Buddha dead? This welcome method is very unique. Swish. 5-colored divine light flashed, and Huang Tian disappeared again. The next moment, Huang Tian arrived at the Amitabha Buddhist temple in the Western Desert. A golden avenue, spanning the sky, descends here. The Buddha Amitabha, the great emperor of Buddhism, has always been mysterious and his Buddhist teachings are unparalleled. Huang Tian naturally wanted to come and meet such a talented person. Although the former has fallen. But his great emperor's dojo still has good reference value. Clang! Just when Huang Tian stepped into the dojo. In the highest and most sacred temple deep in the Buddhist world, a group of brilliant and sacred immortal light rises up. The supreme Buddhist weapon, the demon-subduing pestle, revived on its own. It appeared in front of Huang Tian at the first moment. At this moment, it also felt an inexplicable sense of urgency. The ancient supreme being has descended upon the Western Desert. The great emperor has passed away. Please stop. A low voice came from the demon-subduing pestle, and there was a sense of fear and suspicion in the words. The young man in front of me is too mysterious. Even a powerful Buddhist imperial soldier like this one could not sense its depth at all. This is definitely a supreme figure in ancient times. And it is much more terrifying than the ordinary ancient supreme being. If not, how could the spirit of the imperial weapon, the demon-subduing pestle, appear in person and be preceded by the word, please? This is enough to show that the demon-subduing pestle is wary and cautious about it. Haha, you are the magic weapon refined for the great emperor Amitabha, the demon-subduing pestle. Well, that's not bad. I came here just to take a look. I won't do anything to you Buddhists. Huang Tian looked calm and chuckled. If it were in the past, he might really be interested in the essence, blood, and body of Amitabha the Great. But now, after experiencing the baptism of the primitive world, his pattern and vision have improved a lot. His own potential foundation has also been greatly raised. Even the supreme ancient emperors in the human universe could hardly catch his eye. Huang Tian arrived in the Western Desert this time, just as he said. This trip was just out of curiosity, so I came here to take a look. If so, that would be great. The demon-subduing pestle trembled gently, and infinite brilliant Buddha light shot up into the sky. At this time, this supreme imperial weapon had already fully revived, and its imperial aura was surging. Even the emperor-level magic array in the supreme Buddhist Pure Land was fully activated by it. If there is anything wrong, the Buddhist sect's supreme imperial army will mobilize all its strength to attack this mysterious man with all its might. I wonder which ancient supreme being of the forbidden zone of life you are. At the same time, the spirit of the imperial soldier asked again. It is the supreme divine weapon personally refined by the great emperor Amitabha. It also stayed with the great emperor for a long time. I have also witnessed the confrontation between Amitabha the Great and some ancient supreme beings in the forbidden zone of life. But the aura emanating from this mysterious man in front of him was something he had never seen before. And I don't know why. The slightest breath of air would actually make the demon-subduing pestle feel an inexplicable tremor. It doesn't matter who I am. I am coming here this time to say goodbye to Amitabha Buddha. I hope that one day in the future, I will have the opportunity to sit down and discuss with him about reincarnation and immortality. Compared to the urgency and anxiety of the demon-subduing pestle, Huang Tian was very free and easy. His eyes flickered as he glanced at the Amitabha Emperor's temple from afar and said leisurely. At such a close distance, with just a simple glance, he could see through all the secrets of the supreme Buddhist temple. Inside the demon-subduing pestle, the spirit of the imperial weapon was extremely shocked. What? How could there be such an incredible being in this world? Could it be that he has become an immortal? Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 36, The Seventh Life Forbidden Zone, the Ancient Forbidden Land. At this moment, the demon-subduing pestle was truly shocked. It felt that it had no way to hide from the mysterious man in front of it. Not only this sect's imperial army. Even the great Buddha Amitabha once hid the shocking secret. As well as the many backup plans he had laid out before he transformed into an emperor. It was as if the person in front of him knew everything. Otherwise, why would the other party mention the future? This kind of existence is really too terrifying. It was beyond the imagination of this imperial army. Whizzing, just as the demon-subduing pestle was still in shock and daze. The blazing divine light flowed, but Huang Tian's figure disappeared quietly. Time flies. A great Buddhist emperor fell. The shocking phenomenon lasted for a whole month. On the entire ancient star of Beidou, there was an endless turmoil. Eventually, everything calmed down. In a certain place in the eastern wilderness, Huang Tian was sitting cross-legged on top of a mountain. These old guys are really cautious. Why didn't any of them take action? After a while, Huang Tian opened his eyes and said softly. Since these days, he was practicing and adjusting his condition. Constantly absorb the spiritual laws of the human universe. Nourish your own immortal phoenix body. Make yourself more and more compatible with this human world, without any hidden dangers. Of course, the biggest purpose. Or are they waiting for the ancient supreme beings in other major life forbidden zones to take action? Huang Tian, on the other hand, was like a mantis stalking a cicada, while the oriole was behind, wanting to take advantage of the opportunity to reap another wave of rewards in secret. But what surprised Huang Tian was, up to now, none of those old guys have made a move. Watching helplessly a great emperor of the human race passed away. They actually had no intention of plundering the emperor's foundation. This was really beyond Huang Tian's expectations. This is not at all like the way those old guys act. Huang Tian's eyes flickered and he frowned. Immediately, he swept his mind around. The huge and vast immortal phoenix divine consciousness swept towards several major life-forbidden areas in the Northern Territory. Immortal Mountain, Taichu Ancient Mine, Samsara Sea, Immortal Mausoleum. The several major life-restricted areas remained the same. The aura of each of the dormant ancient supreme beings. They were all sensed by Huang Tian. And all this happened so quietly. Even those ancient supreme beings who were sleeping didn't notice it at all. But soon, Huang Tian was a little stunned. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. There seems to be something wrong with the number of life-forbidden zones. He clearly remembered the period he was in now. There should be only 6 life-forbidden zones on the ancient star Beidou. How come there was one more thing appearing right before my eyes? Huang Tian sensed it carefully again. The discovery is still the same, 7 forbidden zones for life. Ancient forbidden land. How come this life-forbidden area appeared so quickly? Huang Tian pinched his chin with a strange look on his face. According to the timeline of Shade of Heaven, now even the 9 holy bodies are still far from being born. The great holy body that once created the ancient forbidden land. Naturally, it is impossible for him to appear in this world so soon. Then who opened up this ancient forbidden land in advance? This is a rather unexpected thing. Whizzing. Huang Tian's mind moved, and his figure disappeared immediately. After eliminating the last trace of hidden danger in his fairy phoenix body. The human universe is so vast. Huang Tian can go anywhere. Forbidden land. Beidou Ancient Star, the 7th forbidden zone for life. Surrounded by 9 majestic sacred mountains, it is majestic and magnificent. And on top of every sacred mountain, the spiritual energy was dense and the aroma of the immortal medicine was fragrant. In addition to the immortal spring and the 9 immortal medicines, there was also the immortal spring. There is actually another elixir of immortality here. It is truly a supreme place for cultivation. Unfortunately, over the long years. But no living creature dares to set foot here easily. Today, Huang Tian came. With curiosity and doubt, he stepped into the ancient forbidden land. Looking at the familiar immortal medicine one after another. Huang Tian's mouth twitched slightly. What a grandeur. Under this ancient forbidden land. Which big shot caused this commotion? It's actually much grander than the forbidden area in the original plot. Could it be that the Emperor, the sixth old man, has revived ahead of time? Has it secretly descended upon the ancient Beidou star? Fairy light flashed in Huang Tian's eyes as he looked around the depths of the forbidden area. This place is so special. In addition to numerous elixirs of immortality, immortal springs, and many peerless immortal treasures. Huang Tian actually saw the legendary Taichu Life Stone. The Taichu Life Stone is bigger than a washbasin. Piled up one after another, the fairy light is bright and blazing. It also exudes an aura of immortal divinity. And the silver essence of the Sea of Samsara, in the immortal mausoleum. Wow, these are the priceless treasures from several major life forbidden areas. Unexpectedly, the entire nest appeared in this ancient forbidden land. And behind every peerless immortal treasure, they are all engraved within hidden one terrifying imperial level killing formation after another. One thing after another, full of murderous intent that lasts forever. Even if you are a master of the imperial way, you can't help but get caught up in it. I'm afraid I'll pay a heavy price in blood. If you are unlucky, you might just die. Such an amazing deal. It is far beyond the capabilities of ordinary ancient supreme beings. Huang Tian really couldn't think of it, in the human world and universe. Except for himself and the emperor of the king of Godao. Who else could have such a heaven-defying method? If he is really the emperor, then the sixth old man would have revived ahead of time and returned to Beidou. I'm afraid there will be a shocking battle next. Nowadays, this old fellow should not have achieved the status of an immortal in the mortal world yet. But his cultivation in Taoism is very likely to be higher than that of himself, who is now in the fifth generation of heavenly emperor realm. Even Huang Tian has to treat it with caution. Even at the end of the war, one has to pay a heavy price and be forced to unlock stronger foundations. In order to suppress and kill the opponent. No, why is there a certain aura in the deepest part of this ancient forbidden land? Go further in. Huang Tian's expression became more and more strange. At this time, he had arrived at the deepest part of the ancient forbidden land. In front of him, there was an extremely huge and mysterious abyss. 9 towering sacred mountains surround the abyss. Endless chaotic mist gushed out, covering everything in the abyss. But Huang Tian emerged from the abyss. I felt 2 familiar blood auras. And there is also the terrifying and shocking immortal phoenix killing formation. This formation can confuse the secrets of heaven and isolate all external perceptions of cause and effect. It was not until this moment that Huang Tian finally reacted. Who is this mysterious existence hidden in the deepest part of this ancient forbidden land? I was still wondering where my 2 avatars went. Why am I unable to sense their presence even after returning to the Zhutian human world? I thought these 2 guys had an accident and died. I didn't expect that the mysterious existence hiding deep in this ancient forbidden land would be them. Huang Tian was also speechless at this time. Feelings are just a mess of my own imagination. He even mistook the founder of this ancient forbidden land for the super sixth emperor. These 2 bastards. Huang Tian gritted his teeth, and with a flash of his figure, he rushed straight into the depths of the abyss of the ancient forbidden land. The so-called immortal phoenix killing formation in all kinds of heaven-defying killing situations. For him, there was no obstacle at all. Joke. These things were originally created by him, the emperor himself. Who else could understand better than him? Chapter 37, The dream lasts forever, and it will hone yourself. Beneath the abyss of the ancient forbidden land. Surrounded by endless darkness, Huang Tian continued forward. With his current level of cultivation at the heavenly emperor level. Soon they reached the end of the abyss. There stood a ruined bronze immortal palace. An ancient and vicissitudes of life atmosphere flows. And accompanied by rich fairy mist rolling. This is also an ancient artifact from an era countless years ago. It can be regarded as a true immortal weapon. Huang Tian didn't care too much about this. Everything before him was as he expected. At this moment, his gaze was looking towards the depths of the bronze immortal palace. There, chaotic mist was surging and fairy spirit was gushing out. There also emerged a misty and broken ancient immortal road. At this moment, at the end of the immortal road, there were 2 figures sitting cross-legged. There is a large piece of immortal source sealed around them. From the aura of the Tao and the fragments of laws around them. Huang Tian also sensed some clues and information. Now it looks like these 2 bastards. He also fell into some kind of deep-level meditation. Tian Xie Supreme, Immortal Taoist, these 2 are really great names. Seeing this, Huang Tian gritted his teeth. although he didn't know that he had left the world of Zhutian and went to the prehistoric world. What exactly happened after that? But just looking at the earth-shaking grandeur of the ancient Forbidden Land. I'm afraid these things are definitely not trivial. Almost all kinds of immortal treasures in the 6 major life-forbidden areas are gathered here. These are not the ones that Huang Tian himself collected personally. Rather, it was the 2 bastards in the self-proclaimed immortal source in the distance who acted on their own initiative and did it. Hey, their realm cultivation has not improved at all. Is it weaker than before? Huang Tian's eyes flickered, he gritted his teeth, and looked at the 2 bastards in the distance. But soon, he also discovered some abnormalities. On top of their respective immortal platforms, even traces of being cut were found. Just like the ancient supreme being. Could it be that he was beaten into such a miserable state by the ancient supreme beings from several life-forbidden areas? Huang Tian stepped closer and set foot on the broken road to immortality. He circled around these 2 huge fairy sources and looked at them carefully. Buzz. And in the 2 peerless immortal sources, the supreme Tianqi and the immortal Taoist are in the process of cultivation and transformation. As if it sensed some familiar energy outside the fairyland, it also began to tremble slightly. But they are now at the most critical moment of transformation and have no way to wake up on their own. Hee, that's good. It saves me from having to take action again and teach you 2 a lesson. Without having mastered the skills, you dare to go out and hang out. You 2 are lucky not to have been beaten to death by those ancient supreme beings. Huang Tian said jokingly with a playful smile on his face. He knew very well that these 2 bastards must have sensed that his real self had returned. Trying hard to express something. I even couldn't wait to take action myself. It accelerated the rapid transformation of both of them and they have already returned to the peak state of the Emperor. But Huang Tian didn't show any intention of helping at all. These 2 bastards dared to go against the will of this deity. In the human world of the great ruler universe, it's all a mess. Huang Tian naturally had to teach them a lesson. Buzz. Hearing Huang Tian's teasing voice, the 2 huge immortal sources vibrated even more violently. At this time, whether it is Tianqi or Buc, I guess everyone is holding a lot of anger in their hearts. This is especially true for the lawless Tianqi. How could these 2 peak emperors end up in such a miserable state? The damn supreme being was beating them up. It's all because of that bastard outside. Even their imperial positions were wiped out. Now the original body is not dead and has returned. This bastard not only did not help, but also made sarcastic remarks outside. It is true that you can tolerate your uncle but not your aunt. If Tianqi was not at the critical moment of recasting his imperial position, I'm afraid he will really disregard everything, break the seal and fight with me. Well, whether it is Huang Tian himself or the incarnation of Tianqi. In some ways, they're pretty similar. Haha, you 2 bastards, continue to practice hard here. Don't worry, this ancient forbidden land is under the personal supervision of this lord. We will never let the outside world disturb you. Huang Tian turned around and left in style. His light laughter echoed throughout the entire broken road to immortality for a long time. It even caused the 2 huge immortal sources behind him to rumble and shake. In the ancient forbidden land, Huang Tian rushed out from the underground abyss. Regarding the bronze fairy palace under the forbidden abyss, or the path to immortality that had long been broken. At this stage, he is not very interested. Because at this moment, they can't give me much help in cultivation. Now, I have reached the 5th level of Heavenly Emperor realm. I am still a long way from reincarnating for 9 lifetimes and becoming an immortal in the mortal world. Huang Tian sat cross-legged on the top of the sacred mountain, secretly thinking about his own situation. The law and fruit of the prehistoric system has been completely suppressed and sealed by him. Just look at the progress of Zhutian's cultivation method using his body as a seed. If Huang Tian wants to become an immortal in the mortal world, he must go through a long period of polishing. He had a lot to think about at the moment. For example, the legendary 9 dragons pulling the coffin and the most mysterious king of hell in the underworld. Or maybe his predecessor, Cao Yusheng from the chaotic ancient era. The mystery of the 9 reincarnation seals on the other party's body is quite worth referring to. There is also Zhang Baron, who called himself the immortal source and was once blessed with good fortune by the Emperor Huang Tian himself. This is also the only person in the world who is familiar with the legendary system of the ancient immortal era. The first of the 7 forbidden zones of life, the most rare and unpredictable heaven in ancient times, the island of burial. That is also an ancient relic left over from the chaotic ancient era. In the human universe, there are 8 dormant ancient generals under the command of the Immortal Emperor. Each of them is a peak powerhouse at the 9th level of the quasi-emperor realm. When the 8 divine generals gather together, even the ancient supreme beings would be extremely wary of them. If you are not careful, you may even be killed. Scattered on the ancient Beidou star, the fragments of the green copper tripod, the immortal weapon of the emperor, the 6th brother. There are indeed many such things. As for the strange world independent of the human universe, there is also the real ancient fairyland. Huang Tian won't think about this for the time being. His Taoist strength is not enough, and he does not have the combat power of the mortal world fairyland, so he will not try it easily. The great Buddha Amitabha has just passed away. In this human world universe, a brand new chapter of the great emperor has arrived. For me, this is also a good opportunity. After thinking for a long time, Huang Tian finally came up with an idea. He needs to continue to hone and refine himself, and this time he has to start from the bottom. It was just like fighting head-on with the witch monks in the ancient world. And in this world of Shrouding the Sky, this kind of tempering is even more intense. Huang Tian finally decided to embark on a supreme path similar to that of Emperor Yi Tian in later generations, and have an eternal dream. But his eternal dream is fundamentally different. With your true body and true self-consciousness, you can independently and personally experience the splendor of one great world after another. I won't be like Yi He in the future, who was tricked by the unscrupulous Black Emperor into giving birth to a congenital holy body. Of course, if we talk about offspring and bloodline, Huang Tian certainly has some too, such as the useless Prince Tianwang, and the little fairy Phoenix. Even the immortal queen's absolutely beautiful wife. God knows where they are sleeping in some corner now. But at this stage, Huang Tian was too lazy to bother looking for it. What nonsense about bloodline offspring and beautiful wife, that will only affect the speed of his cultivation. Chapter 38 The Ultimate Immortal, setting foot on the road to becoming the Emperor of the Starry Sky. Boom. In the ancient forbidden land, 5-colored divine light emerged, covering the sky and the sun. But this forbidden area has long been covered by the supreme immortal phoenix and many emperors. Creatures from the outside world, including ancient supreme beings, will not be able to sense any movement. Several years later, a young man walked out of the ancient forbidden land. He is Huang Tian himself. At this moment, he looked like an ordinary monk. Not to mention the fairy platform, even the wheel sea has not yet been opened up, but he has an ethereal and extraordinary aura. Huang Tian in this life did not have any physical or blood bonuses, just like an ordinary piece of white paper. On this vast land, compete with the geniuses of all races. An ordinary, lowest-level cultivator like him is not noticeable at all. They are even often despised, suppressed and bullied by some sectarian forces. Decades later, Huang Tian finally passed the secret realm of Lunhai and broke through the Dao Palace. In this life, he is immortal with average talent for cultivation. The realm can be improved entirely by the accumulation of time. All the young geniuses of his generation have already emerged and become famous. He has even broken through to the secret realm of Huaxiantai. But Huang Tian was not panicked at all. He took one step at a time and practiced hard in silence. 100 years later, he finally completed the 5 secret realms of the Taoist palace and entered the 4 poles. There was no so-called evil calamity, nor any earth-shattering vision. It's that simple. However, the geniuses of the living beings of the same period have all successfully achieved the 3rd level of immortality. They all began to set foot on the legendary ancient Starry Sky Road. Time flies, and 1,000 years have passed in the blink of an eye. Huang Tian devoted himself to practicing hard, and after many dangers, he finally entered the secret realm of dragon transformation. The ancient road of the starry sky, the geniuses of all races in the universe, and the battle for the road to emperor have already begun. The battle was so fierce that the sea of stars collapsed and the sun and moon lost their light. Huang Tian was still as steady as an old dog, and he was putting all his effort into it. Little by little, approaching the secret realm of Shantai. 3,000 years later, he finally succeeded. At this time on the ancient star Beidou, the next generation of geniuses. They have already sprung up like mushrooms after a rain. Huang Tian, the old veteran of the Shantai secret realm, was soon overtaken again. His cultivation of Taoism was like that of a snail, advancing bit by bit. During this period, he was also fighting with various monks. You even have to fight against countless ferocious beasts. At every moment, Huang Tian was walking on the edge of life and death. 5,000 years later, somewhere in the eastern wilderness, a powerful aura burst out. Huang Tian finally succeeded in the third stage of the immortal slash and was promoted to a king. It took me 10,000 years to finally achieve my goal of becoming the king of slashing Tao. This is the path of the mortal body. It's difficult, harder than climbing to heaven. Feeling my current level of cultivation. Although Huang Tian was calm inside, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. The third immortal king with a lifespan of 10,000 years. Is this considered to be one of the three immortal kings who lived the longest in the human world of shrouding the heavens? This is even longer than the life of the ancient supreme emperor. It can be regarded as another miracle of cultivation in the human world of shrouding the sky. Fortunately, Huang Tian's main goal is to be able to endure. Although he is immortal in this life, but the vitality is strong enough, it is very special. The original group of creatures that existed at the same time as him. The grass on the graves is several thousand meters high. Creatures from later generations emerged in batches. As a result, they all fell apart. The battle for supremacy is cruel and terrifying. For 10,000 years, no living being has been able to attain enlightenment and become an emperor. At most, he could reach the quasi-emperor realm. As a result, when he was crossing the quasi-emperor tribulation, he was struck to death before he could make it through. Time flies, and another 5,000 years have passed. The ancient star Beidou, the ultimate living fossil Huang Tian. Finally, he broke through to the semi-saint realm. Over the past 15,000 years, he was like a lone wolf, traveling all over the vast 5 regions. Fortunately, he has always been so ordinary and unknown. Otherwise, he would have been captured by the top sects long ago. Today, Huang Tian is in the semi-saint realm. It is enough to dominate one side. There are almost no living beings at the same level as him. The older generation of creatures have been replaced one after another. For thousands of years, Huang Tian has no rival in the ancient Beidou star. He finally made up his mind to break through the ancient starry sky road. Time flies, and another 10,000 years have passed. The fighting continues on the ancient starry road. The geniuses from all races in the universe gathered together. A cruel and fierce battle for the throne begins again. Sage realm, Sage King realm, Great Sage realm, Quasi-Emperor realm. Many peerless monsters are advancing triumphantly and fighting each other. On the road to becoming the emperor, the blood of the geniuses splattered everywhere. It was extremely tragic. However, on this imperial road, there is also an insignificant creature. He has always been at the bottom of the list of geniuses in the imperial road and can be described as a cannon fodder. But what is surprising is that no matter how brutal the war was, this extremely ordinary guy always manages to survive. As a result, he made it all the way from the initial stage of the Saint realm to the Saint King realm, and then to the Great Saint realm. Until this moment, among all living beings of the universe. Finally, a genius discovered Huang Tian. This alternative and terrifying weirdo. Why aren't you dead yet? Deep in the sea of stars, a heroic figure covered in blood stands. He was once the most outstanding genius in the universe. He is also recognized as one of the people with the greatest hope of becoming an emperor. In the shortest time, he had broken through to the Great Sage realm, looking down on all the other heroes with a divine appearance. But time is the most cruel. After all, he was old, and was unable to continue his rapid progress and break into the quasi-emperor realm. Now his lifespan is coming to an end. It just shocked him. I actually saw an old friend from the past. No, this guy in front of him should be the predecessor of his predecessor. He himself doesn't know how many generations higher than him he is. Anyway, when I first met Huang Tian, the other party already had white hair and weak blood, and looked like he would die at any moment. He himself is vigorous and looks extremely young. But now, 6,000 years have passed. Damn it, I'm almost dead. This old man, why hasn't he died yet? And look at his vigorous vitality and high blood pressure. No matter how you look at it, it seems like he can live for several thousand more years. After this calculation, the former genius of the universe turned pale, as if he had seen a ghost. It must be that his eyes are blurry and he recognized the wrong person. Or has he already passed away and now his soul has entered the underworld? In this world, even the ancient supreme being, the great emperor of the human race, could only live for a maximum of 10,000 years in his lifetime. No matter how you calculate it, this old ghost in front of me far exceeds this number. According to the other party's level of cultivation. Could it be that I was so lucky that I got the legendary elixir of immortality? Live a second life. Haha, another old friend. Huang Tian sighed softly with a faint smile on his face. He had already gotten used to this kind of scene. But today was also the first time that he, a senior, was recognized by the genius of the universe. Today, Huang Tian has already stood at the pinnacle of the great saint realm. Looking at the entire universe, I have finally made it to the first echelon of geniuses. Chapter 39, The Heavenly Tyrant Body and the Holy Body appear together. As I approach the end of my life, I have no regrets in my heart as I still meet a wonderful person like you. You are stronger than me, and stronger than many of the geniuses in the universe. Perhaps in this life, you are the one who has the greatest hope of becoming an emperor. We all lost. Deep in the starry sky, the expression of the cosmic genius was extremely complicated, and finally turned into a sigh. It was not until this moment that he came to his senses. The so-called road to becoming an emperor, even if one charges the fastest in the early stages and has the greatest talent and strength, may not necessarily be the one to prevail in the end. Living long is also the most terrifying asset. In his eyes, he was just like an ant, a small character that he would never even look at. But now it has grown to such a terrifying level. The yellow sky at this stage is like a golden sun hanging in the sky for 9 days, bright and blazing. But he was like a falling star, already dim and about to burst. The two are no longer on the same level. Chi. After saying this once most famous and glorious genius in the universe. Clusters of blazing flames appeared all around his body. He could no longer hold on and began to transform into Tao. The Tao fire in the sky burned fiercely, completely engulfing him. When his body was completely destroyed, he was still smiling at Huang Tian. That smile contained too much unwillingness and loneliness. Huang Tian stood quietly in the void. Farewell to this former emperor. Time is like a knife that cuts down the genius. Sigh enchantingly on the road to immortality. This is the cruelty of this human world. I watched as the cluster of Tao fire in front of me burned out and turned completely into nothingness. Huang Tian couldn't help but sigh. This person was once the most powerful genius in the universe. Although it is a bit of a pity, it is also the most common scene in the ancient imperial competition. There are too many geniuses who are as unwilling and lonely as him. Of course, more of them are just ordinary people among the billions of people in the world. Even if you spend your entire life, you may not be able to escape the fate of an ant and soar into the sky. The same is true for Huang Tian in this life. He has no bloodline or special physique. He does not have the so-called destiny or the extraordinary talent for cultivation like the 3 heavenly emperors. Not to mention he doesn't have the mortal body of the ruthless emperor. However, relying on his own terrifying obsession, he went against the will of heaven and achieved eternal fame as a ruthless man. He is just an ordinary person among billions of people. The day I set out on the journey. Then began the endless training and fighting. The only difference is that Huang Tian has an incredibly strong vitality. In this life, he reached the pinnacle of the great sage realm. It took more than 20,000 years. It's about to break through the 30,000 mark. This is truly horrifying and outrageous. If this were to be spread out, the entire human world and universe would probably go completely crazy. Beidou Emperor Burial Star, the ancient supreme beings in the 6 forbidden areas of life. I'm afraid they will come out in full force and frantically hunt down his super immortality elixir. But after going through this life, Huang Tian has gained a lot of insights in his heart. A deeper understanding of the origin of life. At the same time, he is fighting and struggling with countless geniuses in the universe. His own Tao is also constantly being improved and enhanced bit by bit. Of course, the most crucial point. His journey in this life has not yet ended. He can still keep going. In the starry sky of the universe, the battle for supremacy has reached its most brutal and intense stage. One day, deep in the universe, at the end of an ancient and mysterious road, a shocking thunderstorm broke out. There are already living beings going through the legendary quasi-emperor tribulation. This is also after the death of the great Buddha Amitabha. In the human universe, the second creature to reach the quasi-emperor realm. But this creature is not Huang Tian. That quasi-emperor catastrophe was so horrifying that it covered one vast star field after another. It shocked and horrified all creatures in the universe and the starry sea. It was not until several months later that this quasi-emperor disaster came to an end. That creature successfully broke through the quasi-emperor realm. At the same time, he also came to the ultimate imperial level. At the end of the imperial pass, his name had already been left behind. Kangming, a very special and domineering name. On the imperial monument of this life, his name is at the top of the list. There is an inexplicable and vast aura flowing. Soon the identity of this mysterious and terrifying quasi-emperor was revealed. He is actually from the legendary Huang Tian T lineage. This is a very ancient and terrifying top physique. Born in the ancient mythological period, it is claimed that once one has mastered the art of cultivation, he will be able to challenge the ancient supreme being. No one in the world expected this. On the road to supremacy among the emperors in this life, even the Huang Tian T lineage that had disappeared for so long appeared. Moreover, as soon as he revealed his true form, he directly survived the shocking quasi-emperor calamity. Look at his domineering posture. It is obvious that he is aiming to attain enlightenment and become emperor. At this moment, the geniuses of all races in the universe felt it. An incomparable feeling of oppression and suffocation. The quasi-emperor of the Huang Tian T lineage is too powerful. It made all the geniuses of various races in this era feel deep despair. Deep in the ancient starry sky road, Huang Tian was also a little stunned. The lineage of the Huang Tian T also appeared in this life. It really was beyond his expectations. The bloodline of the blue sky tyrant body has appeared. The competition for supremacy in this world is quite interesting. A celestial tyrant body at the quasi-emperor level appeared in the world so powerful and domineering. If there were no obstacles in this life, in all likelihood, it's time for great success. Even at his current stage, facing that young tyrant, it would probably be a bloody battle. No, even the heaven tyrant body has appeared. It is still so strong and will soon become great. What about the holy host, his arch-enemy? Suddenly Huang Tian seemed to think of something and said to himself. The love and hatred between the holy body and the tyrant body. It started from the ancient mythological period. Huang Tian naturally knew a lot of inside information about this. It is too boring to just have one overlord rising up and sweeping away all opponents. It would be interesting if we could add a holy body of our old enemy. When this idea came to Huang Tian's mind, another mysterious ancient road deep in the universe, an unknown place. Suddenly, a terrifying and monstrous thunderbolt erupted. There are actually living beings going through the quasi-emperor tribulation, separated by countless ancient star fields. You can even see the dazzling and stunning vast lightning. Among them, it can still be vaguely seen. An immense amount of golden blood was boiling, standing in the endless sea of thunder. The scale of this thunder tribulation is extremely terrifying. All creatures in the universe are trembling with fear. Compared with the previous Huang Tian T quasi-emperor tribulation, it is not weaker at all. After several whole months, the shocking quasi-emperor thunder tribulation finally came to an end. This also caused a huge wave in the depths of the starry sky. Soon, the identity of the second creature who survived the quasi-emperor calamity was also revealed. Oh my god, that's the legendary holy body. As soon as these words were spoken, all parts of the starry sky were shocked. Following the ancient and mysterious Huang Tian T. In this life, even the holy body bloodline appeared. Two supreme physiques and bloodlines coexist in the same world. Is this going to be a continuation of the fate of the legendary holy body and tyrant body since the ancient mythological era, with another shocking showdown? Chapter 40. The ultimate battle between the great saint body and the tyrant body. When the domineering body and the holy body are born in the same world. For all the geniuses in the contemporary universe who have set foot on the road to becoming an emperor, it's a deep feeling of powerlessness and despair. Not to mention, the two supreme physiques in this life. He has also broken through into the quasi-emperor realm. The brilliance of this life belongs only to the two of them. All the geniuses in the imperial road have become supporting and marginal roles. Even the backs of the holy body and the tyrant body could not be seen. There is of course one exception. The ultimate living fossil, Huang Tian. As a super antique that has survived for nearly 30,000 years. His cultivation of Taoism in this life has also reached the peak of the great saint realm. He felt that he probably, perhaps, could take the step into the quasi-emperor realm. But Huang Tian is still very low-key. He is still practicing silently in secret, accumulating spiritual power and tempering his body. At the same time, he was also paying attention to the showdown between the holy body and the tyrant body. This pair of old enemies. After nearly 1,000,000 years. Finally, another life was born at the same time. Moreover, he made rapid progress and entered the quasi-emperor realm. It has become the most eye-catching and dazzling imperial star in this starry universe. Time flies, and 3,000 years have passed in the blink of an eye. The fateful battle between the holy body and the tyrant body continues. They fought all the way from the first level of the quasi-emperor realm to the 8th level. It can be said that the two sides are evenly matched and the battle is extremely fierce. The entire universe, the human world, and the endless sea of stars became the battlefield between the two young supreme beings. In the end, both of them made the ultimate leap and entered the 9th level of quasi-emperor. Two domineering bodies and holy bodies in the great perfection realm stood tall above the 9 heavens. The overwhelmingly powerful aura fills the entire universe. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even the endlessly distant Emperor Burial Star. The ancient supreme beings in the life-forbidden zones were also awakened. In one lifetime, two young descendants who could be called masters of the Banwangdao were born. This is a big deal. There was a supreme being who wanted to take action when a quasi-emperor was going through the 9th level of heavenly tribulation. Prepare to take this opportunity to kill them in advance. But he finally endured it. Because they are not sure either. Whether it is the holy body or the dominant body in this life, they are both too young and too stunning. Both of them are at the peak of their fighting power in this life. Even the supreme being in ancient times had to be cautious and not act rashly. Meanwhile they are waiting, the fateful feud between the holy body and the tyrant body. It will never end so easily, it will be a fight to the death. This is especially true if both are accomplished. All the supreme beings were waiting in secret until the great saint body and the tyrant body were fighting to the point where both were injured. And the development of things was just as the Forbidden Zone Supreme had expected. The bloody battle between the great saint body and the great tyrant body is still going on. They are extremely brilliant and powerful in this life. Standing above the 9 heavens, looking down upon all living beings. The two also launched a shocking battle at the edge of the universe, in the depths of endless chaos. This was an extremely brutal and terrifying battle. Tyrant blood and holy blood are splashing. The vast aura of destruction shook the entire universe and made all living things tremble. Such a brutal life and death battle at the supreme level is rare in history. It finally came to an end. A terrifying roar resounded throughout the heaven and earth. Billions of people could see it. There was an endless stream of brilliant purple blood rising into the sky. Powerful to the extreme, that unparalleled and domineering power actually carried with it a terrifying supreme aura. Unfortunately, in a very short time. But then it declined and disappeared completely. No living being in the entire universe or sea of stars knows what happened in that horrific supreme battlefield. Between the heavenly tyrant body and the great saint body, what will be the final outcome? In countless star fields, there is deathly silence and depression. At the end of the universe, there is a vast, silent and chaotic area. The boundless breath of destruction is raging, accompanied by a terrifying and terrible imperial pressure. Looking around, all around are all kinds of enchanting purple blood and dazzling red blood. There are also countless broken bones and flesh. This was a battle so brutal that it was hard for the world to imagine. The great dominant body and the great saint body. The two peerless warriors, who were on par with the supreme level, actually fought to such a horrifying degree. Deep in the chaotic zone, a heroic figure emerged at this moment, and he was covered in blood. The body was already covered with cracks, and even the immortal platform between the eyebrows was torn apart. It was obvious that he had suffered unimaginable damage. But the pressure from the great saint body still makes everyone tremble with fear. In the distance, there was a purple figure, but he had already fallen down, with purple blood flowing everywhere. That is the great and powerful body. Such a terrifying ancient overlord-level existence, even though he is dead. Tyrant's body still carries a demonic and indescribable terrifying power. Such a supreme battle is really tragic. At this moment, another strange voice was heard in this death zone, which could be called a forbidden zone for life. A simple and unadorned figure of an old man with white hair. He appeared before the great holy body. You When he saw Huang Tian, the pupils of the great saint body shrank and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Because the creature in front of him had actually reached the 9th level of quasi-emperor. Haha, with my own strength, I can kill a great tyrant of the same realm. Young man, you are great. The mysterious man who appeared in front of the great saint body at this time was naturally Huang Tian. I have been lurking in the dark and keeping a low profile for so many years. Today, when the fateful battle between the holy body and the tyrant body came to an end, he came. Facing Huang Tian, he sighed in a pretentious manner. The great saint body's eyelids couldn't help twitching. Where on earth did this guy come from? Although he is seriously injured and very weak now, he is still a great saint body after all. He is even a supreme being who can challenge the ancient emperors. This mysterious old man in front of him has also reached the 9th level of quasi-emperor. But in terms of combat power at the same level, there is no possibility of comparing the two. This guy keeps calling him young man. It's a bit too much. Sir, who are you exactly? Why are you here today and what do you want to do? The great saint body took a deep breath and tried his best to adjust his state. Although the tone of the words of this mysterious old man in front of him made him very depressed. At the same time, he could also sense it when in close contact. The other party is very skilled in Taoism and has extraordinary strength. This creature did not come from the legendary forbidden zone of life, nor was it an ancient powerful being who broke the seal from the source of God. But like him, we live in the same world. However, in the current universe, there are creatures who can hide from his perception and ascend to the 9th level of quasi-emperor. Such means alone are enough to show how terrifying the opponent is. The mysterious old man in front of him was definitely not an ordinary quasi-emperor that he had seen. Haha, it doesn't matter who I am. I have no ill will towards you when I come here. On the contrary, I have to thank you and the Dacheng tyrant body that has already passed away. If it weren't for the appearance of you two young supremes, perhaps I wouldn't have been able to reach this level today in this lifetime. Huang Tian spoke with a kind smile on his face. Thank us. Upon hearing this great saint was even more confused. Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories. And never miss out on a great listen.